For a time, we tried to contact him by radio, but no response.
Welcome in, everybody, to episode 36 of the Dumb Marks podcast, your favorite Saturday brunch bunch. How's everybody doing? Everybody good?
Doing good. First, I'd like to take time to thank Greg, Tim, and Dan over there at the podcast No Coast Defenders for having me on Monday.
Shamelessly plugging right out the
gate. Hey, I had to choose because I'm gonna forget. I told him give me a shirt, and I'll wear it the whole time. I played the same role I played here. I just sat there. They did the heavy lifting, and I just chimed in every now and then.
No, the one-liner is like, yeah, nice.
Hey, you talking about me trying to get over on another podcast? Right. Look at you.
Wow, this guy. We weren't even 10 seconds into the pod, and he's already promoting another show. This dude's unbelievable. Guys, unbelievable, man. Now, shout out to you on their show. That's 2 weeks in a row. Two of the Dumb Marks have ventured off script and have gone elsewhere, but there's nothing wrong with some cross branding and getting on other shows. So shout out to them over there and what they do on their podcast each and every week. Shout out to Cam Moyer, another fellow Dumb Mark who went on our Pro Wrestling Tees store and bought some merch. So shout out to you. We appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in, following along, supporting the show.
Thanks, Cam.
Yep. As always, go to ProWrestlingTees.com/DumbMarksPod to pick up some merch. There you go. There's my shameless plug into the beginning of the show. So May 8th, and it was 37 degrees when I woke up this morning. What the hell is going on in Pittsburgh?
That must be why I'm so cold out here. I'm in the living room.
Crazy, man.
I'm loving it. You know me.
Yeah. You're an ice king. Yeah, we know.
This right here is the most time I spent out here all year.
I don't mind like the rain. You know, the rain's to be expected this time of year in the Northeast with spring coming in. But yeah, I want shorts and t-shirt weather now. Like, I shouldn't be having hoodies on still. Like, I'm expecting to come in and get done with this and go watch college football with how cold it is outside. But with that being said, how's everybody's week? Everybody good?
Good. I have a quick story for everybody. So on Thursday, I was just going through our one guy that goes through the year and all that stuff. And I was like, let me do something. So I went on the comedy one, the one I was getting major heat about. And I actually watched Step Brothers and Office Space.
Wow. Round of applause. Look at this guy.
So I watched them.
He sat there like this the whole time.
Mad as hell. He was so mad. Mad as hell.
So I watched it back to back. I started with Office Space first, and let me give you some reviews on what I thought of them. I thought both movies were dumb as fuck.
Cut his mic off. Shut him down. He's done. He's done for the rest of the pod.
I gave him a stack of comedies one time, like this much, and he goes, all of them sucked.
For Office Space, the only part that I liked on it was the doctor dying. Sorry, spoiler alert, and the fire at the end of the movie.
That's what you took away from.
That's basically what I took away from it. That was it. And Step Brothers, I just like.
I remember.
and Step Brothers, the only thing I liked was the interviews that they had with the jobs. I really laughed at that because that was hilarious.
Are you saying panned? P-A-N-D?
And then they was like, no, we're interviewing you now. We took control of this.
How much do you make a year?
And then watch a Steven Seagal Above the Law. That was it. So if we had to do the one guy to go again, I would say Office Space would had to go.
Now, as many times as we had issues with the printer at work, and I'm telling you, I want to take it to the back outside on the train tracks.
I understand now.
You didn't resonate with
no, that? I did. No, I did. But I understand now. Yeah, so after both movies were over with, I had to cleanse my palate, and I put in Hostel 2. You know, I had to get some gore back in me and that stuff. Hostel 2, Your Next, you know, a little bit of Saw here and there. So, yeah.
Are you
so,
speaking of Saw? Are you excited for Spiral?
Yes, I am. I'm going to the movie theaters to actually see that one.
I thought they were done.
Well, they're done with Saws, so there's no more Saws. This is from the book of Saw.
This is This is Chris Rock produced.
So, Chris Rock produced himself. He's starring in it. Samuel L's in it too,
yes,
right? I believe, Samuel L's in it. I was cool with the first. I like the first two Saws a lot. The ending on the first Saw was great. Second one was just as good. The third one was kind of where it was like, okay. I think I went out on a date one time, and the movie we went to see was sold out, so we went and saw like Saw 7 or whatever it was, and it was just like, all right, this is terrible.
That was
like,
bad. That was
I'm like, all right, this is terrible. Like we're way past jumping the shark with these movies, but I might give this one a chance. I might give this one a chance to pull me back into that universe, so to speak. But not.
Mm-hmm. So that was it. Yeah. So I'm gonna attempt to do Anchorman and Dumb and Dumber because those were the other two that I never watched. So check out my review on those soon.
Watch that Spiral be like Cabin Fever.
Cabin Fever was trash. Dumb and Dumber. You're not going to appreciate Dumb and Dumber because it's how many years later, and two, like the age group that we were when Dumb and Dumber came out, like that humor fit that type of that age, that sophomoric fart and poopy joke humor that they teenagers find hilarious for whatever reason.
We like do Jim Carrey?
But
if it's anything like Freddy Got Fingered, then
no, it's not.
No, okay.
Yeah, no, nothing like that. But yeah, I'm dead serious about cutting his fucking mic.
Just won't hold up well. So
yeah. So those two movies, don't recommend you guys watching them, from my point of view. On to that, we get with the show now.
I don't even know where you completely threw me off with that take. Like, I don't understand how your take is worse after watching the movies than never seen the movies before, but somehow it got worse.
They were trash.
That's because you went in with hype. You went in trying to live up to everybody's hype. That's how everything is.
You know what movie I thought sucked that was hyped up to the nines that I watched, and this can be said for a lot of movies that win Best Picture at the Oscars, but No Country for Old Men was so hyped up, and there was a group of us that were watching it at my brother's house, and we got done, and I'm like, that's the movie that won Best Picture of the year. That shit was garbage. And you guys can come at me if you want for that take, but I was like, this was so hyped up, it just got ruined.
I felt the same way about There Will Be Blood. That was terrible.
I still never seen that, and that was a movie that I was looking forward to seeing whenever it came out, but just never got around to it. And now it's kind of whatever. It's been so long, don't even care to see it. But
yeah, it was definitely one of those movies that they were hyping up because it was artistic. So that's what the Oscars and all that stuff loves. Anything artistic. But
so if you're watching, you're listening to four guys who don't fall for hype.
Don't overhype it. Don't overhype nothing. Believe me, okay. Well, since we're on the topic of movies and that, some stuff that came out this week as far as some shows and Marvel related movie stuff. First thing I want to get into here, I saw that. So I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that they are doing a new Transformers movie. Mm-hmm. Okay. And the director from Creed 2 will be directing the new Transformers series. And they casted the co-lead this week. It's going to be Dominique Fishback from Judas and the Black Messiah. She's going to be the co-lead to Anthony Ramos from Hamilton and In the Heights. I've never seen that, so I don't know who he is.
No.
But I don't know if he's been in anything else that I might have seen. But he's gonna be the main star in it. So
he's never had like too many starring roles, but he's been like a little supporting role here and there and some other stuff.
Okay.
Is that the dude on the Sesame Street commercials where he's rapping?
No.
Okay.
Different guy.
So there was that, and then I did see Method Man is lobbying for the role of Bishop in the Marvel comic universe. So I wouldn't mind seeing Method Man play Bishop. That's not a horrible choice by any stretch, but I was trying to, once I saw his name, like him pushing for it, I was trying to think of other actors who could play Bishop, and I wouldn't be mad if he gets that role.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have for movie wise, except for, well, I'll jump back into this because I had a kind of question for you with movies, but Marvel, did you see they moved the release date up for Loki?
Yes, to Wednesday.
So, yeah, it's only by 2 days. It's June 9th instead of June 11th. But they will be going forward with releasing it on Wednesdays, so it comes out the same day as new comics.
Okay.
To keep those streamlined together. I think it's due to Star Wars being on Friday, and they just didn't want to take away audiences, so they have 2 separate days so they could get the most out of people streaming each show during the week.
Kind of like whenever movies get released on Wednesday, just to get those 2 extra days for opening weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then this will avoid if at any time they have a Marvel series running on Disney Plus, and a movie comes out on a Friday, then it won't interfere with people, going to watch the movie as well. So, but those were like the quick hitters that I have this week from TV and entertainment.
I got one. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Hulu's doing a mini series called Pam and Tommy, which is based on Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee. Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan, is going to be Tommy Lee, and Lily James, she played Cinderella. Lily James. She's Cinderella in the Disney live action. She was in Downton Abbey. She's playing Pamela Anderson. I didn't even recognize her. I didn't even really recognize Sebastian Stan either. So
do you think his White Wolf nickname will be a nickname for something else in the Pam and Tommy Lee series?
I would say that's what we grew up with.
Yeah,
and to me, the interesting thing is this is going to be a Hulu miniseries. So that's Disney.
Yeah, I don't know
how in depth are they really going to get with this. But
if this was on Netflix, I might be like, okay, I might tune in just to watch the train wreck that was that relationship and everything. But yeah, with it being on Hulu, well, that'll be interesting to see how they handle it. But since you brought up Sebastian Stan, I did see on Screen Rant this week. So Bucky's name, you know how at the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier, they changed it to Captain America and Winter Soldier? And they flirted with the idea to change it to Captain America and White Wolf, based on, Bucky's name being the White Wolf after giving to him for spending time in Wakanda. But they held against doing that because apparently Bucky's story is not done being told. So there were hints of him, whether it be in the series, season 2, getting more of an arcing story for him in season 2, like how this one was pretty much about Sam becoming Captain America. Whether it's that or you see, more of his story evolve throughout the movies in the upcoming Phase 4. But I thought that was a little interesting as to some behind the scenes stuff. If you haven't gone on Disney Plus, go on and check out the assembled edition for Falcon and Winter Soldier. Really good. behind the scenes stuff and everything like that. So that was done really well.
I really liked the scene in Assembled towards the end when they were talking about like his suit and how like him actually like wearing it, like the material would like fold, and then they have to go back and like clean that up and everything. I thought that was pretty interesting how they do that.
Yeah, and then I did see Conan O'Brien is ending his late night run on television in June. So I was never a Conan O'Brien, never a Conan O'Brien guy. Didn't really watch him, whenever he was on NBC, or was he on? He was on NBC, right?
Yeah, he did late night on NBC. Did the Tonight Show for a
Tonight Show. Yeah, and then moved over to TBS. Yeah. So yeah, I never really got into him.
He's not done. He's going to be moving over to HBO Max.
Okay.
So it's not going to be the same show. It'll just be something different. So
something different. Okay.
Yeah. It's been a late night game.
Is it still going to be like late night on HBO Max, or is it just going to be stream whenever you want?
Probably stream whenever you want. They haven't said anything yet, like what it's going to be, if it's going to stay Conan or if it's going to change names or what they're going to do. All they've said so far is it's just going to be once a week.
Okay. Now, will it be shown on HBO like how like Bill Maher and Dennis Miller used to be back in the day? Like,
from what I understand, it's just HBO Max. That's all they've said so far. So.
Okay, so not on HBO itself.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
we'll see once it gets closer, because they haven't. I think it's June 24th is his last day on TBS. So after that, maybe we'll get some information before that show ends about the new one, or maybe he'll come afterwards. I'm a Conan fan. I still watch him. I go back and watch his remotes on YouTube all the time.
Yeah, he just never clicked for me. I don't know why.
A lot of people are like that. That's the whole reason why they got rid of him on the Tonight Show.
I watched him early on. Now I just watch like the clips on Team Coco and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Don, since you ventured out and watched some movies this week that you don't normally do, and we're talking about this, I saw somebody on Facebook, and I forget who it was, but they posted the scene from Heat with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino when they're sitting in the cafe, and it's probably one of the most iconic scenes in a movie. Given the star power of the actors involved in it and the discussion that they had. But it got me thinking, what are some of your like most memorable scenes to movies that you guys would put up there as far as like you would recommend to somebody to go watch? Like if you had to explain one of your favorite movies to a person, what scene would you pull from that movie? And obviously Heat for me is in my top 5 all time. We can have this debate at another point in time. We won't get into it now because we didn't do any prep for it. Not like we're a professional show anyways, but just like if, pick one or two of your favorite movies and what scene would you pull from that movie to describe to somebody that's never seen it before to make them want to go watch it?
For me, off the top of my head, I probably think Remember the Titans whenever Coach Boone took them to Gettysburg and they actually ran and they went to the cemetery and explained like what they're fighting for on the team was the same thing that these guys were fighting for 100 years ago on the field for equality and everything. So
that's not a bad one, but for me, for Remember the Titans, I go to the nighttime practice scene. But it's left side, strong side.
That was going to be my second one.
I got goosebumps right now just saying left side, strong side. Right there, got goosebumps. Like
I mean, the three of us got the same movie, and I picked the hospital scene. Bertier's in the hospital.
Yeah, it's like, what you mean? What you mean only family? Can't you tell that's my brother?
So that would be the one. Yeah, so that would be like off top, like from Remember the Titans, off top of my head, I could think of right there.
I mean, all three of those worked to hit what was the bigger picture as far as the era that took place and kind of white people and black people coming together at a time whenever it wasn't necessarily accepted in society. So but we each picked 3 different scenes from that movie, but they all tied into the same point. You know what I mean? That coming together is human beings, regardless of skin tone. So not a bad choice there at all. Not mad at that one.
I'll be completely different. My favorite movies are comedies. Probably my favorite scene from a movie, and it is one of my favorite movies, is Christmas Vacation. His rant towards the end of the movie. If someone hasn't seen that, if you watch that and don't laugh, then you're not going to enjoy the movie.
With the Jelly of the Month Club?
Yeah. Hallelujah. Holy shit. Where's the title? That's a good one. I'm trying to think I mean, there's so many moments from that movie that you could throw out to explain to somebody, but
now that's a funny movie.
Yeah.
Every year I watch it around Christmas. It's they put it on the 25 Days of Christmas on Freeform, I believe, or whatever. But yeah, that one definitely gets played around Christmas time for sure.
I have The Running Man by Arnold Schwarzenegger is a top movie of mine. And like, how do you explain that movie though? Like, you go with a fluorescent lit up goalie who's slicing heads off?
I don't even know what movie you're talking about.
You never seen The Running Man?
I don't think so.
Oh man, that's an 80s classic.
Yeah, it's like an 80s classic that takes place in like 2033 or whatever, and like it's the future and
it's coming up.
Yeah, it's coming up. Yeah.
It's a game show. It's like a life and death game show.
Yeah.
Everybody goes in and like one person survives.
Jesse Ventura is like the main hero.
The hero.
What was the one with John Ritter? Was it Stay Tuned? Where he gets sucked into the satellite dish and him and his wife have to like compete on cable game shows the whole movie.
I think that
I never saw that.
See, we were talking last week about movies that come on TV and you watch. That was one back in the day. It was always playing like on TBS or USA or something, and every time that was on, I would watch that. I like John Ritter, so anything he was in, Problem Child, whatever.
Let me just double check here to see if I got anything else. Jay. So Jennifer Lopez isn't allowed to sing "Sweet Caroline"?
Hell no! Oh no! No!
I saw that and I'm like, yeah, he's 100% right on this one.
I was ready to throw my mozzarella sticks at the screen. Like, no.
There's some songs that that you know what I mean. Like,
I meant to go and watch that to see how bad it was, but I forgot about it. I'll have to do that today.
I'm a Neil Diamond fan, so I can't.
That sounds about right.
I popped whenever I saw that. I'm like,
that's hilarious. You ever watch Ron Funch's comedy?
Yeah. Your
line just there reminded me of his. He goes, I had to move. I grew up in Chicago, but I had to move because you can't be hood when you're bumping Alanis Morissette.
Look, this is the same place that we lived in when I was a kid. So, and right over there, a couple feet away, I stood there on a black and white 10-inch TV watching Neil Diamond's Christmas.
I think Neil Diamond's Christmas. That's funny. I remember being little. Like, I can't even tell you how old I was, but I just remember like Christmas time being in the dining room with my mom and that, and baking cookies and nut rolls and stuff, and Kenny G's Christmas. that was the record that got played over and over again in my house at Christmas. That was Kenny G's Christmas edition or whatever it was. Like, I remember it was to the point where, like, as the technology changed and we went from vinyl to cassettes to CDs, like, I bought the CD so that she could still listen to it because it was just that was what got played.
I do have it.
Alan actually owns a comedy movie.
One.
All right. Anybody got anything else in the intro before we jump into it? We got a lot of stuff to cover in bell to bell this week. A ton of stuff inside the ring and also outside the ring that went down this week. So
and the dark side.
So yeah, if nobody got anything else, that was the intro, and let's get into the main nuts and bolts of this thing.
All right, guys, welcome to this week's edition of Bell to Bell. Like Steve said in the intro, we got a lot to cover. Anybody want to start off where we want to go this week?
So I want to kick this off, and I'm going to go to Sunday, and we'll just work our way through. But so right now, there's a lot of documentaries airing for wrestling, whether it's WWE putting stuff out, A&E has their docuseries going with superstars. Dark Side of the Ring just came back Thursday night with part 1 with Brian Pillman. But
they did both parts.
They did. That's why it was so long. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so the 2 hours, that was part 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Well, there was
part 1 was leading up to his car accident, and signing with WWF, and then the car accident on is part 2. Oh,
see the way that they had it labeled on the pro, like on the guide, and that it just said part 1, and I'm like, oh, so next week we're getting part 2, like
yeah, because Vice actually uploaded both parts to YouTube. They uploaded part 1 early, and then on Friday they upload part 2, and that's how they have it on there. But yeah, I did notice on the guide that it was just part 1.
I did see people saying they were watching Pillman earlier than when it dropped. So okay.
So A&E's biography series so far, Sunday night was Macho Man Randy Savage. I'm excited for this documentary. Savage was one of my favorites growing up, regardless of whether he was a heel or a babyface. And there's been a couple documentaries done on him before, so was interested to see how much new information would come out, and man, I got uncomfortable watching it.
It's like a Dark Side of the Ring piece.
So from 9 o'clock to 9:54, they just had, like, I believe Conrad tweeted out it was a hit piece. I mean, it was just bearing them. The man, the character, the issues he had, Gorgeous George was talking about stuff. Like, it went dark really fast. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, Stone Cold has, his past isn't the cleanest either. I mean, there's issues there that weren't touched on at all.
They completely skimmed over. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't go into that at all. They talked about stuff with Piper, but that was like early on in his life, and he was doing what he had to do. So like that was what it was. But I mean, there was
some things in there towards the end that they were talking about stuff, but it wasn't as bad as Macho.
No, but Macho's was just so like.
I missed Macho's just because I didn't care for Stone Cold all that much. I thought it was well done, but after I watched it, I was like, okay, I didn't really get anything different out of this.
So there was a lot
what they were going to do. So I skipped Piper and I skipped Macho. I'm definitely planning on watching Booker T's because they really haven't done like a really in-depth Booker T documentary before. So.
Piper's was good.
Piper's was I enjoyed Piper's a lot. Piper's was really good. But so it just led to a lot of I don't want to say negativity, but there was a lot of questions and concerns and issues and people, touting stuff on the World Wide Web about the difference in the pieces and everything else. And A&E themselves came out and said each documentary had its own independent set of directors, producers, everything else. So it's not the same people. It's not like Dark Side of the Ring with Evan Husney and them. Like, it's not the same people doing all 8 documentaries on A&E. So each one's
Dark
different.
Side of the Ring kind of follows the same format probably because of that reason.
So each one covers what they want to cover with the help of WWE, with footage and getting people and whatever. But I just couldn't believe the route that they went with Savage and how much they went into it. And then on top of that, so like the last 50 minutes of the last hour was a complete burial. The last 5 minutes, they try to like turn it around and shed light about how good of a person he was and how many lives he's touched and how many people he's changed and everything else. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, you just buried the guy for 50 minutes. Like, and I hate to say this because as a kid, like I don't need to see Hulk Hogan on another documentary. About any, like the people that they had for this episode was crazy. It's like, why are these people even
a radio host?
Yeah, you had Bubba the Love Sponge and Hulk Hogan were two of the main people that were talking about this. Now Hogan, I could see because of the run that him and Savage had and the friendship that they had and the heat that they have with each other and everything else. But at the same time, like you bring on Bubba the Love Sponge, who him and Savage, and he even talked about it in the doc, like he would go on the show every day and just bury Macho Man. Like they had an open public feud on radio. And it's like, why would you bring him in for this documentary if you weren't just trying to like Conrad said, just a straight like entertainment hit piece. That's what it felt like.
Was Leaping Lanny on?
Not liking half the people who they talk to, most of them. Like I came out hating everybody except for Steamboat, only had praise, and Lenny only had praise. Everybody else, they talked about him, but you heard like there was like a side jab in there or a backhanded compliment somewhere in there. It's like, nah, just tell the story.
Sounds like whenever they did the self-destruction of Warrior.
That's exactly that's the comparison.
Yeah,
that's exactly it. I mean, you had Luger on there because of all the stuff with Miss Elizabeth. Bischoff was on there briefly. His wife was on there for a little bit because of her relationship with Elizabeth. You know, it wasn't what I was expecting. It had me. It took all the air out of my sails as far as the excitement I had going in compared to what they did. So.
And Dark Side of the Ring already covered that, you know, so why wouldn't you try to tell a different story?
But they took it a step further. Like they really went at his, and I'm not saying that he was an angel and should have been put on a pedestal like him. And I don't agree with stuff that he did that came out in the documentary, if it was true. I'm just saying There's nobody here to say otherwise on his behalf. And even Lanny, like, I don't know if he knew what they were doing with that, if he would have been involved in it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder what his thoughts were watching it air and being like, okay, like, I wouldn't have signed up for this if I knew this was the route that they were going.
Because he usually tries to do the best he can to keep Macho's image, clean and out there still. There's a lot of stuff he doesn't do.
You had Hawkins going over his baseball career. Why? It was like he was reading a book report.
Yeah, it was weird. Like I said,
brought the action figures in. Like that could have went.
From the people that they had for it to the story that they covered in it. It just didn't work for me, and I was disappointed by it. But so I watched that, and then Monday I watched the Two Dudes with Attitude with Kevin Nash and Shawn Michaels on the WWE Network. I thought it was good. I would have liked to have heard a little bit more in depth about that time with them two and the run and the click and everything else. But I mean, that stuff's been covered.
That's another one I felt like I watched and I really didn't get much out of it because we've told that story before. It's a different variation of it, but it's been told before. How many times do you need to learn about the curtain call? Just like a Montreal screw job. It's like, okay, that's been overtold way too many times.
Yeah. And then, Thursday night was Pillman. I didn't watch it early. I waited till Thursday. I actually watched it last night because I didn't watch it Thursday night. I was watching Impact as it aired. So I watched it last night, and man, you want to talk about a guy that worked everybody. there was some new stuff in there that I wasn't aware of, and I didn't think I really understood how severe the car accident was at the time, and how, I mean, basically, you know, that was the beginning of the end for him was that car accident. You know, it made me appreciate him and what he did more now. Like Stone Cold said at the end, like, what would his trajectory have been if he would have been around for another 10 years since he passed away so young? I mean, he was only 35. So you figure 10 years, given the momentum that he had coming into the WWE, like, would he have been in that upper echelon of WWE during the Attitude Era with Austin, The Rock, Triple H, Taker, Shawn? Like, to me, I think he would have been up there.
If he would have been healthy when he came in, like if he wouldn't have had that car accident, I think him and Shawn could have had some great matches. When I first started watching wrestling, WrestleMania 6 was the first event I ever saw. But right after I watched that, my dad started putting on like WCW Saturday Night. So WrestleMania might be what got me into wrestling, but WCW Saturday Night was like my consistent week in, week out.
605.
605 on TBS. And so like some of my first matches were, you know, really of Ric Flair, Flying Brian, you know, all that, you know, the Hollywood Blondes, everything. I remember them because that's what I watched consistently every week. And yeah, I mean, I was a big fan of his, you know, as a kid. Just when he was Flying Brian, he could do things that I didn't see other people doing. You know, I like Stone Cold even whenever he was U.S. champ, when he was the Hollywood Blondes, you know, part of Paulie's Dangerous Alliance, all that kind of stuff. I think he could have had a good run in WWE if he would have been healthy.
And they didn't even really touch on a lot of the stuff that he did in WWE. Like they covered the beginning part with him and Stone Cold, and then, you know, touched on, you know, after the accident, like how his body broke down and what he would go through just to have a match and everything. But they didn't touch on
the Heart Foundation at all.
They didn't touch on that at all. They didn't touch on, you know, him and Goldust. That
just
was
towards the end. That was
a huge angle. So yeah, like, I enjoy the Dark Side of the Ring. You know, what they've done so far. There really hasn't been an episode that I haven't liked from them. I'm super excited for the rest of their season. And I thought this one just, you know, kicked it off the right way. And Meltzer tweeted out it was the third highest debut on Vice, and it was only behind the Owen Hart and Chris Benoit as far as most viewers. So
sounds about right. That sounds about right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's just a lot of documentaries that go on top of a lot of in-ring stuff. So it's just more wrestling throughout the week. It's literally every single day, 7 days a week. So
I don't know who next week is, but I think in 2 weeks is the Collision in Korea.
I believe next week is Nick Cage.
Okay. Is that the hardcore wrestler dude? Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to the Collision in Korea because we've never really seen like a real documentary on that before.
You guys said 605.
Yeah.
I'm getting old, so can we please move everything up to 605 now? These days.
You want that WrestleMania time slot?
All right, so yeah, and I just, you know, that's kind of where I wanted to start this week. You know, I love documentaries regardless of subject matter and topic. Doesn't necessarily have to be sports or wrestling related. I'm watching documentaries pretty much across the board on everything. So there was that, but I guess we can go back to Sunday and the Reyes de Reyes, the King of Kings, AAA. A lot of stuff went down. Set up some stuff. Shook the wrestling world a little bit. You had Andrade make his return, his debut with AAA. Already has a faction, and challenge Kenny Omega for the AAA championship at their biggest event of the year, which is Triple Mania in, I believe, August is Triple Mania
Usually,
each year. So got some time before that, but he threw the challenge out there. Deonna Purrazzo of Impact challenged Fabi Apache for the women's in a title versus title match. So they're off and running. I believe we said last week on the podcast here that there was going to be AEW talent and Impact talent going down to Mexico, but we thought it was to work with Rush's promotion. And here we got a lot of that talent that was rumored to be in that show up last week on AAA. So,
yeah, I mean, they definitely kicked off the build for Triple Mania. And like I said, one of my complaints about AEW has been, their lack of build up towards the pay-per-views. I mean, hey, here we are a few months ahead of time, and they're already starting to set up matches.
Yeah, they do if you follow AAA and what they do with their stories and how they build up to Triple Mania, it's long-term storytelling. I believe Conan's still the main booker there.
I think so.
And he does a good job of elevating talent, putting new talent over, getting you invested in storylines that lead up to the main event of that card, as well as big time blow off matches. You have either a hair versus hair or a mask versus mask match, which are huge in Mexico. Those are your big time blow offs. It's not Hell in a Cell. It's mask versus mask. So
it's a stipulation that usually sticks too. Like if you lose a mask, you just lost your mask for life. Not like Rey Mysterio loses in WCW and then can
for no
within
point.
WWE. Yeah.
Yeah, so that got the week started off hot. I was like, okay, let's go. I'm excited. We got new challengers coming out. People in different promotions. The forbidden doors open across the board, and people working with people, and then I come into Monday night and it's Raw.
Before we talk about Raw,
you just come with the tone and just
man.
Now, I don't know if we want to go into this, but since we were talking about Mexican wrestling, do we want to talk about what happened Wednesday night? Not on AEW. I'm talking about on MLW.
I was gonna save that for MLW.
Okay,
but we can get into it if you want to now. Because that'll keep me at a high. I don't want to go down low yet. So MLW Wednesday night had their season finale, which was main evented by Leo Rush and Myron Reed too. Shout out to both of them guys. They put on a fantastic main event match. Tore the house down. And the big thing was the reemergence in the reveal of basically a 5-month storyline of El Jefe, which turned out to be, as rumors were correct, the return of Dario Cueto from Lucha Underground. He is the owner and sole proprietor of Azteca Underground, and he's looking to build his new temple. And it led with Selena De La Renta being sacrificed. Those of you that watched and followed Lucha Underground, that'll make a lot more sense. The only bad part to this angle is that Selena's contract is up with MLW and she's no longer with them. So she is a free agent. Don't know where she's going to end up, where she will land. Anybody that gets her is getting a star.
and it needs to be someone that can do something with her, not just here's somebody, not just like here's another valet. She needs to be the mouthpiece for whoever she's with.
No, and she did more than just that in MLW. She produced shows. You know, she is a very talented young woman. I believe she's still in her 20s, like 24, 25. She's, like I said, she's going to be a star. So I saw a lot of people tweeting out that they want AEW to bring her in to be the like authority figure, general manager type deal to run the show and be put in that role on that show. But I agree with you, Chris. She needs to be more than just a manager wherever she goes. Her talents dictate that for sure. But sad to see her leave.
If she becomes like a manager, for like say like she becomes Andrade's manager wherever he signs, if he signs with any American promotion, that's fine. Because at least he has the talent, to back with her. But she needs to be, front and center. She just doesn't need to be, another Lana that just doesn't do anything on the side whenever, when they were done with Lana, So she has talent.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
I was bummed to see that she's leaving MLW because she does such a great job down there.
And Court Bauer, shout out to Court Bauer. Like the man can write stories. What he does with MLW is fantastic. And he says, I have talent for a certain amount of time, and I have to write my show based on how long I have them, what they can do to elevate people that are here, and me put them over. That was Selena and how big she grew, her time there in MLW. Mm-hmm. And you saw it with Leo Rush and Myron Reed. I mean, that was another 5-month story that culminated in Myron Reed getting his championship back. And I believe Leo's time with MLW will be up. So, it's a reset for Myron in that division, and you go on and find the next challenger. So, but yeah, Dario, there were rumors about Lucha Underground coming back. I don't know if that's going to be the case or what Court plans on doing with him, but he adds a lot of intrigue to that show now that can draw more people in that were familiar with Lucha Underground that may not have watched MLW up until this point. So
yeah, Court's been teasing like possibly a spin-off show or second show, and if they would do an Azteca Underground show, I think you would get the talent from MLW and the diehard Lucha Underground fans that have been wanting that to return.
The other big announcement on that show was MLW's open draft.
I don't understand how they're doing that.
So starting this Wednesday on YouTube, they're going to have an open draft for talent. Court Bauer wants to expand the roster. They have more eyes on the product. They made more deals as far as platforms that the show can be seen on and everything else. So they are expanding. They're hiring, and they will be interviewing and drafting talent. To me, this is a way for them to draft NXT people, since that rumor was them two working together to get NXT stars on MLW that aren't that are ready but just not getting the TV time on NXT due to how deep that roster is.
I did see a rumor this week, and we'll see if it's true or not, that talks have died out and they're not moving forward.
Really?
Yeah. That was something that I guess they were discussing around Mania, and it just hasn't moved forward past that. So they're not. Could change. You never know. But that was the update I saw this week.
Okay, I didn't hear anything that way, so that's interesting. But I think this is a smart move by them to keep people interested in MLW. Their return in July.
Yeah. Not
saying they're going to do a draft every Wednesday from now until July with new talent, but it's just a way to keep MLW in the wrestling talks. Ooh.
And NWO is returning.
We're about to have a run-in by Contra. I thought they were going to take over the show like they hack MLW's broadcast. So yeah, but no, for me, MLW was. If I'm ranking shows this week, MLW is probably either 2 or 3 on my list as far as favorite show for the week. So yeah, I enjoyed every minute of MLW this week.
I saw the second half. I because I forgot it was on at the beginning, so I turned it on like towards the end and watched Leo Rush and the ending. But
So the first match was Gringo Kid versus Laredo Kid. Laredo Kid came out with the AAA Cruiserweight belt. Even though he's not the AAA Cruiserweight champion anymore, Leo Rush beat him for that belt. So he's running with the story that it wasn't that Leo Rush tapped during their match, and the referee didn't call the tap.
Okay.
So they explained it. They showed the footage and everything. It was done really well. But again, it's just a way to continue a storyline, and it was a good callback and everything else. So, like I said, that was in my top 3 shows of the week, 100%. So, with that being said, we can jump over in the main roster stuff at WWE Raw this week. What'd you guys think? Love, hate?
Hey, we got tag team champions. I was wondering there for a second.
For a bit, everything just felt off going through. Like it just felt like clunky the whole way. Like the first 2 hours just felt clunky. Promos, the wrestling, yeah.
Let me throw some stuff out to you. And shout out to Graham GSM Matthews on Twitter that put this out. Becky Lynch versus Carmella at SummerSlam 2018. Let's add Charlotte. Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 35. Let's add Charlotte. Rhea Ripley versus Asuka at WrestleMania Backlash. Let's add Charlotte. The epitome of lazy booking. Hashtag WWE Raw. What do we think about this? Honestly,
He saw the comment.
They have a reason to this time.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it's not just.
It wasn't like the Ronda one. They have a reason to.
I just don't.
She could get the title shot next month.
To me, I think they're trying to get back on track to what the original plan was. I don't know what it was.
It was Charlotte beating Lacey at WrestleMania for the belt.
And then probably Rhea was supposed to beat her in SummerSlam or something like that.
So, yeah, I mean, Rhea was not supposed to have the belt right now.
Yeah, so
supposed to be Charlotte. And then, Rhea, to me, she just seems super uncomfortable on the main roster.
Yes, she does. Yeah.
Just, they didn't help her the first week out, have her reading off the cue cards, doing the backstage interview. She just, I just don't see the confidence that I saw in her down at NXT. And whatever the reason is for that, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know if it's Vince in her ear. I don't know if it's producers in her ear, if it's other wrestlers in her ear, or if she's just overthinking everything and trying too hard instead of just, going out there like a quarterback that, that's forcing things, like just go out there and play, don't think. But
NXT, you were the big fish. Up here, you're the champ, but you're still nowhere near the big fish.
I know. It's just
her direction seems like off too. It's like when she's fighting Asuka, she's a heel, but now you add Charlotte in it, she's like a tweener / face because Charlotte's the heel. It's like, what the hell?
Like that in NXT too, though.
Yeah,
they would. Triple H would flip her around down there too.
But this is the main roster. This got to be defined,
she's just it's just off. It's just the whole Deonna Purrazzo now, or not Deonna Purrazzo, sorry, Sonya Deville on Raw now being, her and Adam Pearce, I guess, are quote unquote authorities on both shows. But her, like, Charlotte saying make the right choice and be fair to Flair and put me in this match and everything else, and then she just goes, yeah, I'm gonna add Charlotte to the match. It just doesn't do anything for me. And Charlotte's promos, as they've gone on each week,
getting worse.
They're getting worse. It's whiny entitlement instead of shoot like it was the very first night where people it was like, oh my God, it's the woman's pipe bomb. It's like, no, it wasn't. But that's for another discussion. I don't like how they've continued to move forward with her, given this part of her character that they want to tell with her, expecting to be the standard bearer and the opportunity, as she calls herself, of the women's division. So I don't know. I'm just not looking forward to it. And you had Braun, Drew, and Bobby. So Braun's being added in this match to take the pin, pretty much. Hate the direction of this story. I'm completely over Drew McIntyre.
This is kind of making me like Braun more. I don't know why.
No.
He's getting a little better on the mic.
It's doing nothing for me. Like absolutely nothing.
They have rammed Drew McIntyre down my throat like they did with Roman Reigns, and I'm just completely over it.
Just like Steve said, they're probably going to have Braun take the pin, and then you're just going to have a singles match between Bobby and Drew.
Yeah,
whatever the next pay-per-view is.
They're Money in the Bank, like
yeah.
I mean, I didn't feel like Drew did much. I understand the whole pandemic last year, but coming out as champion, I just didn't feel like anything connected with him, with his run leading up. And it's just like, I'm over him now too. I mean, I was over him last year, but definitely
the first few months I was told.
Yeah, I wanted to give him a chance just to see what he did, but it's just nothing ever connected with me with him being champion. It kind of fell flat the whole year.
Just nothing.
Yeah.
Donald, you brought up tag team champions. So how's this for your those of you that say Raw doesn't have a tag team division? And this was tweeted out by T-Bar himself. He goes, Mason T-Bar, Almost an AJ, Viking Raiders, RK Bro, New Day, Lucha House Party, Riker and Elias, Miz and Morrison. That is the saddest tag team division I've ever seen. Yeah. If you even want to call that their tag team division. Because and you know what the worst part about this is? I'm actually enjoying RK Bro. Like the interactions between Orton and Riddle have been really good, and
come on to my side, man.
They're starting to get over on me. I will say they are starting to get over for me, and I am enjoying them, and I do find them entertaining.
They'll be taking the titles at Backlash then.
They probably will. Mm-hmm.
I don't know where it's going. Like I said, obviously Orton sees something in Riddle that he wants to work with him and help elevate him up the card. I'm
surprised the merch hasn't come out yet.
It's coming. It's coming.
I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Don't do that because it's gonna be a week and it's over.
Like Y2 AJ.
I was just thinking the same thing.
But so and then you have Cedric and Shelton split up this week.
Time out.
What?
They've been planting that seed ever since the beginning.
With Cedric and Shelton?
Yes, ever since the beginning.
They have.
They have,
but
right?
still, but them losing.
But when they did it, it just what is go? Oh, getting hacked again.
Retribution's coming now.
Stop talking bad about Raw.
It's just like the breakup now doesn't mean anything. Like I'm not excited to see a Cedric and Shelton feud.
No,
off of this split. Like
I wish it was for something, but I want to see it.
I think both of them could be doing more on the show than what they've done, and maybe this is a way for them to start up with one of them too. Not both of them, but because WWE can't write that many stories consistently for that many people.
They'll be doing the same stuff with them just as singles right now. Cedric will be back on 205 or main event or something. Cedric will be on 205. Shelton will be on main event.
They're getting used, ain't they?
It's just so much is rinse repeat each and every single week on Raw.
Look,
that it's
this week they used 38 on-screen talents. So maybe they're back to full force as opposed to what 20, 25, 26 last week, and therefore going on.
Which is fine, but it's just it's the same. Like
how's it? It's the same, but they added 12 extra people. It's the same.
It is the same. Look at the main storylines. It's the same. It's the same people.
They're giving you other storylines. They brought in Mansoor. They gave you Garza versus Gulak. And the Rose ass.
Mansoor, I had no idea who he was. No idea who he was. I had no idea he was had an undefeated Goldberg-esque streak on 205.
He's Abu Dhabi world champ.
Yeah. Again, I've never watched one Saudi Arabia.
Greatest battle royal.
The Royal Rumble winner.
Man.
So you have this talent that is that is on this huge winning streak, everything else that I didn't know about. And the way you debut him is just to sign the contract with Adam Pearce and then lose to Sheamus. Good job. Good job of making a big deal out of this new signee. Bro.
Did you see him sell that bro kick though? That's the art.
To sell the bro kick?
And Dolph Ziggler could do the same thing.
Not that damn good. Flip his whole body.
Dolph Ziggler could do the same thing. Hell, Jericho could do it.
That's the most positive you've been about Dolph Ziggler in a few years.
We'll get into him on SmackDown. Him and John Morrison are having a battle to see who can have the worst hairdo each other.
That's probably what it is, because they're friends. So
it has to be, because they both look like assholes each and every single week. I think it was last week, Dolph had the big long hair extension braid in the back of his hair. This week he had like the 7 different poofy ponytails, and Morrison,
drip
with the drip and the bad.
They're doing the Shawn Michaels mid-90s.
Wow, so terrible, so terrible. Dolph Ziggler and John Morrison's hairstyles are the perfect description for Raw. Just terrible, bad choices.
It is. It's bad.
Poor decisions. Why would you go out in public with that? That's exactly what Raw is.
You're getting more people, so maybe you'll see it grow as it goes on week to week.
It didn't. Back to the tag team. They had with AJ and Almas talking about WrestleMania Saturday. That was like a month ago. We've been forgot about that.
They gave them the promo to cut the night after WrestleMania.
Yes. It was like, I'm sorry you guys haven't been on, but I'm over
4 weeks later. Oh, hey, we wrote this for you for the Monday after Raw. Go out there and cut it now.
It did had your typical rematch.
Is it his fault AJ got COVID?
That's the shit they used to pull whenever they would tape superstars like 3 months ahead of time.
Yes.
WrestleMania was 6 months ago, but it's the first time you're on Superstars and Champ, so go ahead and cut the promo like you just won the belt.
Like 4 weeks ago.
I mean, if you would give it to anybody else, they would adjust it. You gave it to Omos.
You have to adjust it.
I will say Kofi and Woods did a really good job of trying to get him over with how they sold for him and everything else. Like, whether or not he'll actually get over, I don't know. But
I'm still not.
They did a really good job with that. I don't have anything else for Raw. You guys got anything else for Raw?
We could have gone without it.
I'm not really trying to bring this up, but I'm sure Jason's got something else about Raw.
No, we good. We can move.
Oh no.
Okay. That's fine. I know we talk about.
I figure might as well get it over with now.
My bad. Thank you, Chris.
Somebody, we need to pause and grab that. That needs to be a soundbite.
Yeah, we need a drop.
We need to drop.
That was around. I read everything.
It was around 102 to 104 mark. Timestamp that. Cut that up. Chop that up.
I told Jason earlier in the week. I said, if Eva comes back with like a different like moveset or that stuff, like actually she's better, I'm okay with it. But if she comes back as the same exact thing, what's the point?
Here's the thing that worries me is that, it's not like she was this talent that left, went to MLW, went to Impact, went to New Japan, whatever.
We got better.
She went and did Big Brother. She went and did stuff. Doesn't mean that she hasn't trained on the side. I'm not going to try to say. If she did train on the side and she got better, cool. But
I think she trains harder than anybody, but
I mean, so we don't know. We don't necessarily know if this is going to be her in the ring working.
Yeah, I've seen hints about Parker, but you don't bring him straight up to the main roster.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, unless he's just like Kurt Angle-esque and has it down. You know, that's why I was kind of hoping she would come back to NXT with him and that. You know what I mean? That presentation there, but I will say this. I will give it the chance to see where it goes. Just like I'm giving the Aleister Black stuff on SmackDown a chance to see where it goes. I'm not going to shit on it. I'm not going to shit on her. You know, people in the internet wrestling community just buried her, and you know, a lot of it. You know, was she great in the ring? No, she wasn't great in the ring. But I think there was a lot of jealousy and everything else towards her because of, I mean, just like look at her. You know,
she wasn't good on the mic either. I mean, she wasn't good in the ring or on the mic.
Yeah, so I mean, she's done movies, she's done TV shows, she's done reality stuff. She's a huge influencer on Instagram and social media. Like, let's see where this goes.
I think she's just getting more heat because of or more backlash because of the timing. You know, you just let go Mickey and the Iconics, and then she popped on screen, even though she was there months ago.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
I mean, one of the arguments that I saw, and I thought it was justified, was women are still fighting for time on Raw. You know, you have tag titles and you have a main championship, and you're still fighting for that time. And then, you know, again, we'll see if she has improved, but you're bringing in somebody that was never really that talented in the ring to begin with to give them a spot. And
I think all the women are getting time. They're either in a tag or they're the three. The three.
So let's go there with SmackDown.
Except for Nikki.
Yeah, I mean, let's go there with SmackDown last night. You had more than one woman segment. There were multiple women on the show last night. Whether or not you agree with how those women were used in all those segments is another story, but they were on the show last night. Based off of what they've done with it after Mania, before Mania. Jay, I know you felt like that those were being put up, but I mean, like, you have Reginald and Tamina last night on SmackDown, and it's like, come on, like, what are we doing here?
That was terrible.
What is his purpose? What is his purpose?
He's in the women's division. That's his purpose.
What is his purpose?
What was dude that was with Carmella?
That's Reginald.
No
chin. No chin.
Oh, Ellsworth.
Ellsworth. Yeah, that's his spot.
It's like, gosh.
But Ellsworth had matches that, like, you know, him and AJ Styles was like that wasn't bad, but that was more to do with AJ than Ellsworth. But I mean, like, he was involved in some, I don't want to say huge storylines, but I mean, he was involved in bigger angles on the men's side compared to what they're doing with Reginald.
And he felt like he had more of a purpose than Reginald.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just, you know, I don't know what they do with the women on the main roster. I feel like they've been in the rut so long of just writing one storyline for each show based around the women's championship that they can't come up with other angles for other women on the show to have that you know, that mid-card feud, so to speak, to elevate somebody else up. It's just all of a sudden, oh, this person is the next challenger. Like, okay, I guess we got to run with it. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I don't know. But SmackDown last night, I think what I learned last night watching SmackDown, and people are like, SmackDown's so much better than Raw. But really, if you look at it, It's not
It's
that
still
much
fun.
better.
Mm-mm.
It's just that the
Main story.
The main event.
the main event pictures on SmackDown are better,
Yeah,
which
better,
makes
yeah.
the show better. And that was proven last night with what they did. I loved everything about last night with Roman and the Usos and the Bloodline, and teasing Seth Rollins and what they did with Cesaro, the 10 bell salute for Daniel Bryan's career in the beginning was awesome. So much heat. Roman, I think Roman legitimately cracked and legitimately popped. Like, I don't think he was supposed to laugh the way he did when Heyman started going ding, ding. Love the call back to Hell in a Cell with the I Quit with Jimmy and Jay, and why Jimmy feels the way he does, why he's hesitant to fall in line, like just continuing that storyline, to see where that goes is something that you can watch for. I thought they did a good job of letting Cesaro get his shine at the end of the show with coming back. I mean, the main event segment throughout the show, which was the main thread last night, was spot on. Other stuff on the show, not so much last night.
What, you didn't like that 10-man tag?
Why? Okay.
Go ahead, Steve. I got issues with it too, but
at least they didn't put the Undertaker in a match last night.
Throwback SmackDown. Throwback SmackDown, right? So it started off great. I'm like, oh, okay, we're getting, theme, the intro, the old school referee shirts had, they had theirs on. McAfee and Cole were dressed up throwback. Like, okay, right?
2 different eras.
Yeah.
And then you get the Ico Pro commercial. You get the ice cream bar commercial. It's like, you guys.
It wasn't SmackDown.
No, that wasn't. Yeah, that was the 80s. SmackDown was in 1999. What are we doing here? Like, it just felt.
I didn't mind all the retroness.
It was a retro WWE episode.
Not the SmackDown is different. Yeah. Only thing I didn't like was when they had they could at least change the pictures with the graphics. You had 80s graphics with HD pictures. It just didn't look. I love the graphics.
Don't tout it as being throwback SmackDown if you're doing a complete throwback.
Throwback, yeah.
Yeah, just make it a throwback show, like a retro show. Don't specifically make it come across as you're doing a throwback SmackDown. Like, so that lost me there.
Well, I guess they touched on everything. You got the fist in the beginning. You got
the computerized fist. How about the real fist?
That's what
you knew that wasn't happening. Though.
You're not gonna tear down the Thunderdome for one night for the fist.
Yeah.
Yes, you are. The covered up. Yes, you are.
I never liked the fist, anyways. But it's like, I knew they weren't doing anything.
So there was that. But to jump back into the 10-man tag, I'm like, is this throwback Survivor Series or is this throwback SmackDown? Because those were the promos that Apollo Crews cut and that Big E and them cut. Those were the old school Survivor Series promos before the matches that you could get in the back with Mean Gene Okerlund holding the mic and having the team talk. Like, I was just completely confused on where they were going with the show. Like,
I'm sure they were too.
But you got it.
But again, it's wrong. It's the wrong era. It's the wrong. Like, it's just even that they couldn't get right. Like, how do you screw that up? You're touting it as a throwback SmackDown, yet you're doing
80s
throwback.
graphics.
You had an 80s night last night.
Pretty much.
The WWE symbol was the old 80s one.
Yeah.
McAfee's get up was Vince's old get up.
Yeah. SmackDown started in 1999, but when they did an 80s theme.
It was WWE for years. It was a This Is Your Life.
Yeah.
But
I
no,
agree. They should have titled because they were building it up as a retro SmackDown. I agree. It wasn't the right build to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
not at all. So, yeah, but
Retro Night Long SmackDown should have been.
Yeah.
Hopefully they listen to the fans down. They actually do a retro SmackDown at some point. Like focus on SmackDown and not WWE. Because this felt like a retro Raw more than anything.
He said, "Listen to fans." What's that?
Yeah, I know. We go back to that thing that I always talk about is logic, and I know they don't.
So yeah, you had the main event storyline throughout the show that was really good. Cesaro and Rollins was really good. I like the Bayley and Bianca interaction. That was good. Other than that, though, like
you're getting Dominic and Rey as champs. You're getting it just to have the first father-son.
People were pissed about that too because everything was promoted for Dolph versus Rey.
Oh, they were.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who wants Rey?
Nobody.
So then they switched it, and people were like, "Oh, okay, WWE." Like,
there's people out there clamoring for Rey. 6-year-olds.
You
know what was bad about that, and what sucked.
You gotta do it better, Donald.
Yeah.
Dolph Ziggler cut a really good promo on Dominic, and it meant nothing because of the feud that they're doing. Like, it's like that could have been a good promo in the right storyline, and it was just like it was a waste because of what they're doing with them, and it just doesn't work at all. I just don't get it.
I have this to say. I like the tag division on SmackDown as a whole. I just like the New Day better, and they're not using the tag division right on Raw at all. So at least you're getting like multiple matchups and different rivalries throughout the tag division on SmackDown. Raw is just
so WrestleMania.
So we're gonna have to wait a few months for the draft, and I'm ready for the draft now.
So WrestleMania SmackDown is next Sunday.
WrestleMania
Backlash. Whatever.
I still hate they got WrestleMania tag.
It's the same logo and everything. It's so right now on that show we have the triple threat for the Raw title: Lashley, Sheamus, or Lashley, Strowman, and Drew. We have the triple threat for the women's title: Rhea, Charlotte, and Asuka. On the SmackDown side, you have Cesaro and Roman, which I don't think that match will be. I don't think that'll be a clean finish. If you hotshot Cesaro for WrestleMania Backlash, I'm going to be pissed. And then you have Bianca versus Bayley. Has there been any other matches announced?
Rey and Dominic versus
the tag team
dogs or top what they name? Top dogs?
The dirty dogs.
Dirty dogs.
So we're getting a tag team title match on a pay-per-view.
Yeah, you're getting Dominic and Rey.
Probably pre-show, but
as tag team champs.
Well, enough people didn't point to a sign and call for a match yet, so that's what next week's for.
I don't have nothing else to say. Like I said, those were my highlights. SmackDown's better because it's an hour less, and the main event pictures on both women and men's is better than Raw's, and it just all the other stuff is just a convoluted mess. It's the same. You can replace, the dirty dogs and Mysterios. You can throw them over to Raw, and you can bring, the Shelton and Cedric split and all that on SmackDown, and it would still be the same thing. Just a mess. So yeah, all right. Anybody got anything else main roster wise? We can hop on over to NXT Tuesday night. So NXT Tuesday night. Let me pull it up here. They did 761, a 0.18 in the demo, which is up a little bit from last week viewership wise, but they're down. They were down in the demo. They went from a 0.22 to a 0.18. This card was stacked from a match perspective, and yet it caught less attention of the younger demographic. I don't know if you guys think that's an issue moving forward for NXT, but thoughts on that, and then thoughts on the show as well.
It may be the switch, and just because it's main roster, just because you're under the main roster, some people are probably getting WWE fatigue by the time it comes, because they're putting on solid shows every week.
Yeah, this was again. This was I agree with you. I feel this was like another solid outing for them. Some of the highlights for me was Swerve and Ruff. Their match was
that was good.
That poison run off the apron, like, oh man, that was crazy. That I enjoyed the Raquel and Mercedes verbals back and forth. That was done really well. And I like the way Candice and Indy getting the W there. Sam Roberts tweeted out, now would he say would he say along the lines of now we have a tag team division? It's like, no, now you have two teams in a division. You don't have a division. You need to build up other teams.
You got all 4, 5. You still got Casey and Caden.
They haven't been featured in the tag team division. They've been in a storyline with
solo, yeah.
With Xia Li in them.
Mm-hmm.
Their tag team, and you got Aaliyah and Rita, not Rita.
The Robert Stone brand.
Yeah.
Who you only saw one time.
Who ran around the ring holding up the belts
like they won.
Like they won because of a count out last week.
They use them once a month.
I don't think they have a division yet. Like, to tout it as a division, I don't see it yet, because you haven't built up any other teams besides those two. Because Dakota and Raquel's not a team no more. Like, you're not putting them in the tag team division.
No.
So I don't see them being a tag team. So it's just, you have Candice and Indy win it, which is great. But now it's like, all right, what baby faces are you going to build up to go after them? Because you can't keep running it back with Ember and Shotzi.
Lacey and Katie Casey and Kaden already called their shot. Not called their shot, but they cut that promo, saying they're next.
And you also have it now. It's 2 months into the titles, and you're on your third champs already. Like that's not building any. It's not building anybody up though.
But I'm getting tired of seeing champ reigns.
I mean, I'm not.
Give me some changes every now and then.
But
I don't care what belt. Just give me some changes somewhere.
I agree with you there, but for a newly crowned belts that haven't been on the show before, to have 3 title switches in 2 months, to me is a lot. I don't think you shouldn't have put it on Raquel and Dakota and crowned them and have them lose the same night. I think that was a mistake. That was a mistake out the gate.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, if you're gonna have tag team women's championships, which is fine, let's get a little bit of a run out of the first champs, so that way the belts are established. You can work on building up teams before you make that change.
I mean, I felt the same way about the women's tag titles when Sasha and Bayley won it and then lost it the next month at WrestleMania. And it's just like you're not even establishing the belts with anybody that way. You had Sasha and Bayley doing their tour on each brand, saying, "Hey, we're the champs," and then you have them lose it.
Right.
I kind of feel like it's the same thing down NXT right now. It's just you're not getting any group over, to say, "Hey, we're the dominant group." And I agree with you. I think some people having long reigns, isn't a good thing. I'm okay with more champions, but for new belts, I think you need to establish somebody.
Yeah. Cross showing his dominance. I like that as well.
Over who?
What do you mean?
No way.
What do you mean? He cleared out the ring.
That was good. I like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Finna
I wouldn't mind seeing those. I wouldn't mind seeing those 4 in a fatal 4-way either.
No.
Like, if they're going to go that route.
Yeah.
Challenger. Okay with having those 4 in a fatal 4-way.
because they're all linked to each other. So
Yeah.
but that would be, that would definitely be good.
Now diverting from Carrion to Scarlet, and you get you got Theory, and her in the back. That was funny.
It's because that's
way
the
don't
way.
miss.
That's the way. The way. They don't.
They're like, why are you leaving? It's not my night. You gonna set up the party?
To me, I mean, like I said, those were my highlights from NXT this week. Again, I think it was a well-paced show. It was a solid show. Ring work was what it was, but I think the standout was Ruff and Scott. I like Swerve's entourage. And now we're getting him with a stable and a faction. So with that moving forward, to add another layer to him, I know he hasn't been happy with where he's been at on the show since he's come into NXT, and there was I don't know if he did a podcast or an interview where he talked about that. So this is a way to get him rolling up the card, so to speak. So they have a podcast. Yeah, on the WWE Network. Yeah, They still have that.
I think for a few months now they've been trying to push him a little bit more, and I think his stock's rising. I thought for a while he was definitely just cruiserweight title picture, but now I'm ready for him in the North American Championship picture.
Yeah,
I think it was the heel change for me.
Could be
the heel change for sure was needed for him. Like I said, we'll see what he does with his entourage and this new faction, so to speak. But NXT was what it was. I think they'll probably come in around this 740, 760, maybe peak over 8 from time to time, depending on what's going on the show. But I think that's kind of where they're going to be at, which is about 100 to 200,000 more than what they got on Wednesday night when they went head to head with AEW.
I will say I did like that. The guy who was fighting Grimes, I like his movesets. So
was that Asher Hall?
I don't know what his name was. Was he from somewhere else?
I can't remember. I'm trying to think back now. It happened so long ago. Like
what the
segment with
Wednesday? Huh?
Yeah, Tuesday. Like Tuesday feels like it was 3 weeks ago, and it was just Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like,
did you like your segment with DiBiase?
I did not like that this week.
You didn't like it this week?
No, I don't know where they're going with that. Like,
started running into the ground.
I think you know where they're going with it, or it's gonna be the same thing every week. And
You gonna get
$1 million challenge?
Ted Jr.
Ted Jr. is coming back.
I don't think that's happening.
All right. Anybody got anything else on NXT?
Not really. Sold on Champion Timothy is a tag, but
I really like them too.
We can move on. Yeah,
I do like those two as a tag team. I will say that Ciampa's one of my favorites. Period. And Thatcher, I had no interest in Thatcher at all with him by himself. The Thatcher's can segments didn't work for me. Like it just, but him with Ciampa, them two together, I like their attitude and where they're gonna go. So,
and you can just go ahead and bury Tony Atlas or whatever his name is.
What? Did you need an Atlas to find him, as LA Knight said?
Oh man,
that man had one brief push and he's done.
Jake Atlas.
Give me LA Knight on the mic every week. This dude is entertaining.
That's what he's getting paid for.
Man, he is entertaining.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. All right, that's it for NXT. All right, let's jump into Wednesday night Blood and Guts.
Nobody bleeds like Cody.
Hey, that I don't. So he wasn't supposed to bleed in that match. Like, he got busted the hard way there. He was not supposed to bleed in that match. That was not Cody trying to get his shit in before the main event.
If QT making you bleed, there's a problem.
So there's a lot to get into this episode, and not just from
Not all good.
the episode itself. So the big hoopla, right? Blood and guts, fans in the stands. Instantaneously, there was backlash because they were watching Dynamite, which was pre-taped for the first hour. And people were up in arms and tagging Tony Khan and this and that. And I'm like, well, wait a second. Because initially the first match came out and I'm like, is this tape? Because it's 8 o'clock. The sun's still out in Jacksonville. Why is this pitch black? So obviously, due to the construction of the cage and the 2 rings for the blood and guts match, you weren't going to have time to put second ring together and the cage together in a 4 to 6 minute commercial break.
No.
So yes, the first hour was taped. People at Daly's Place there were a lot of people that were upset about it, but whenever they announced tickets, they announced it as a 1-match event.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even watch the show, and I knew that going in. I mean, I watched it, but I don't even pay attention that much, and I knew that going in.
They announced it as a 1-match event. Tony Khan came out, 5 minutes before they went live and said it again. After the show, they offered refunds, and I forget what the total number of people that were there, but only 5 people actually
out of 1,500. Yeah.
So you guys bitching about it on the internet can stick it up your what, because it's like they told you what it was going into it.
You haven't learned wrestling fans are fickle?
Fickle's not the word, but I mean,
just be happy you're there.
Go and enjoy it. You're there, you're witnessing something that's happening for the very first time, and you can't just enjoy it for what it is. You got a 45-minute match. Plus, you got 10 to 15 minutes of promo stuff. You saw Kenny, you saw Orange. Like, it's like you're complaining just to complain when they told you what it was going to be from the get go.
You don't have me sound like an AEW mark trying to defend this.
I don't get the bashing of it. You know what I mean?
No.
So like, all right. Before we jump into the show itself, just to go off here. So AEW, they averaged, I believe it was 1.1 million Wednesday night for the show in and of itself. The Blood and Guts match itself did a 1.21. They had 614,000, 18 to 49. 105,000 men 18 to 34, 47,000 women 18 to 34, 303,000 in men 35 to 49, and 129,000 in women 35 to 49. So
where's that 50 demographic? Was that 50 plus?
Yeah, they were number one for the 18 to 49.
Number one across the board. Cable television, Blood and Guts. So obviously huge ratings for it. I thought the first 2 matches sucked. I thought they were terrible. I'm over Kenny and the Bucks, and
but we knew going into this event that we weren't sold on this match last week when it was set up either.
So obviously you're I think this is trending to Moxley and Kingston against the Bucks for the belts.
Looked like
which
it at
is
the end.
A double or nothing. Which that's fine.
Which still they didn't get revenge for the Good Brothers for breaking Kingston's ankle, but
didn't Tony just say I don't like the post advertise and gave you a bullshit match at the beginning?
I'm over this, and like
2-on-1.
And not only that, but they did, and this was elevated, especially in the first 2 matches, and commentary pointed this out, but this show made your referees look stupid and inept, and like they have no idea what they're doing as far as doing their job during matches. JR called it out. Like, is this a Texas Tornado tag team match that I don't know about? Like, and Excalibur tried, covering it up. Like, no, it's not. It's a regular match. The referee's he's had a really hard time controlling things. And it's like, well, you're making your referee look like a schmuck.
Yeah.
Go to Cody and QT. Cody takes his belt off to whip QT. The ref grabs Cody's belt, launches it, turns around and watches QT hit Cody with his. Isn't that a disqualification?
Yeah.
And then stumbles to take it off him.
This is also when we cut to the Go-Go walking across the stage, but I was telling Braun, AEW has the awareness of the extra in porn movies.
Like, and then
when the mom and the best friend are on this side banging, and the kids on this side of the counter like, "Mom, where are you?" That's the awareness they have. Look straight across.
But then so like you have
an
that
example that I did not expect.
I'm not touching. I'm
trying to take people with bad awareness, but
I'm jumping right over that. We're not getting into pop and go during this segment. Okay? Keep it moving. So you don't call it DQ there, and then you have Arn Anderson again right in front of the referee, punch QT, and then take his face and car wash it across the ring post in front of the referee. And what's the referee do? Calls for more referees to get Arn out of there, but doesn't DQ Arn. It's like, or doesn't DQ Cody. It's like, what the hell are we doing? Like,
they just praise themselves for not ending matches in DQs.
those from a logic wrestling standpoint,
that's
those
bad.
were big misses.
Are they insulting your intelligence?
With that, absolutely.
Yeah, they are.
And you can sit there and you can have that type of rule book of not doing DQs on those kinds of things. But you have to be consistent with it, and you can't end one match with it and then don't do it on the next one.
So with that point, Bully Ray on Busted Open said, "Listen, you're going into this event. You have blood and guts, right? There's no DQ, anything goes style, gruesome match. Like, why not just make every match on the card
true
that way?
Yeah.
Because you had the matches to do it. Like Omega and Nagasawa and Eddie Kingston, like that's been ongoing. You could make that a no DQ match. You can do Cody, and you can do Cody and QT in a Street Fighter. Whatever. Like you had the matches on the card to do it to where you could build up the whole show that way. And then when that stuff happens, I can accept it because I know going into it, this whole show is set up that way.
Mm-hmm.
But don't try to give me your real authentic wrestling matches when you're slapping me in the face by doing stuff like this and expect me not to call it out for what it is. You're missing the mark with stuff like that. And those are the smaller details that you need to be consistent on to make your product stable moving forward each week. You can't miss stuff like that and expect not to be called out on it or to sweep it under the rug and act like it never happened. So there was that. I enjoyed Technique by Taz and him just shitting on Christian and breaking it down. Like Taz does that on Dark, and it's really good, and it can get over really big on Dynamite if he just takes opponents from Team Taz each week and shits on them by doing a Technique by Taz. Let him do that instead of
he does it every week.
What's that?
He does it every week.
Yeah, they've done it. It hasn't been every single week on Dark, but they run that segment on Dark where he'll break down.
I remember doing it with Cage when he first came around a couple weeks.
No.
Yeah, he doesn't shit on the talent like he's, you know what I mean, like he breaks it down like from like a sports science thing like ESPN does. Like he does that
on Dynamite a few times too, and
with Cage.
Yeah. But no, instead of having Team Taz come out every week and do what they do, let Taz do that with people that wrestle Team Taz or that are going to be set up in feuds with Team Taz because that was entertaining. I'll take that every single week.
Look at his footwork. the power in his claw is going to get all the way to the frog splash.
Yeah, so that was great. I think Mick Foley needs to pick up the phone and call Darby Allin and tell him what the repercussions are going to be for doing the spots that he does.
I thought they were throwing him off the balcony for sure.
I thought that for sure. I thought that was going to happen.
I instantly got Cobra Kai season 2.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
That's where my mind flashed to, and I'm like, they're gonna do this.
Yeah.
But throwing him down the steps,
he went hard.
For what point?
There wasn't a point.
Exactly.
So I said, Darby, he didn't.
He had it for a minute. He just crashed and burned at the end.
He didn't need to do that spot.
He didn't need to do it.
Yeah. You could have rolled him down like in the TV or in the movies. The good old slow roll down the steps.
Yeah.
Or do it like on a ramp area, like you know what I mean. Like I just the concrete steps was just unnecessary.
Did they say that was live?
No,
I heard
that was live.
That was live. See, that should have been something that was taped where they could do different angles or more safety precautions. Like
you want to keep getting thrown down?
No, but they go to take safety precautions and edit afterwards.
Yeah,
whatever Darby dove at Ethan Page whenever they were talking, that cracked me up. He got him on that first spear.
Well, Ethan Page had the nice one line about nobody watching Evolve matches. That was a good thing. But
and what did we say, Jason, earlier? We said Sting upstage Darby again by getting ran down first by Scorpio Sky. So he's above Darby again.
So yeah,
the riddle me this, riddle me that. The Riddler quote.
So like, they're continuing that feud, but yet Miro's challenging Darby for the TNT title.
I thought he was going to challenge for the FTW. I was praying. I was hoping he was challenging for that bogus head.
But to me, Miro had the line of the night in the promo. You know, I'm challenging a man that's willing to die, and I'm willing to kill. And I was like, okay, like that line worked for me. Like, give me this Miro. Like that's what I want to see. So
yeah, and that's the thing. So if Miro loses next week,
what's it do for him?
What's going on next for him? And then if you have Darby lose, it's like, so what are you going to do with Darby? Just put him in tag with Sting all the time?
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see where those crosshairs go.
Because they've said the past few weeks the Darby Allin segments have been the highest segments of the shows. You know, him in the main event. So you take the title off him after him being the highest segments. That doesn't say much. But
you had the announcement that Britt Baker will challenge Sheeta at Double or Nothing.
Good.
Well deserved.
Wash match.
In the squash match, people were upset about that.
Yeah,
how do you have you have all these women and you only put them on for less than 2 minutes, and AEW doesn't know what they're doing with their women's division. Their women's division sucks, and I'm like,
she wrestled a jobber.
Yeah, I was like, she was announced as the number one contender to challenge the title, and she did a squash match, which was exactly what she was supposed to do.
Yeah.
So what are you upset about? I don't understand. Again, I don't understand somebody was going. I was going back and forth with somebody on Twitter, and they were like, "Oh, well, at least your name says it," because obviously the Dumb Marks podcast.
Thank you, guy.
And I'm like,
someone gets it.
Yeah.
Not a total jobber. Give me somebody else. Don't give me the fresh face newbie.
If she came out and did a squash match with Red Velvet like that, then I would have been upset. But she wrestles a nobody, literally nobody. On
exactly
Dynamite.
what it was supposed to be.
Yeah,
that's it.
Exactly what it was supposed to be.
Did you get pissed off? Did that person get pissed off when Barry Horowitz used to lose every week?
Old Monday Night Raw. I was about to bring that up. Yeah. Old Monday Night Raw, Brooklyn Brawler. Every week.
Like, not saying that's her job. That's going to be her job, like to be a jobber her whole career. But for that moment, that's what her job was, and that was the segment.
All right, and then let's get to the announcement for the AEW Championship at Double or Nothing. You have Orange Cassidy versus Pac this week in an eliminator match. The winner will face Kenny Omega for the strap. Based off of what they did on Dynamite, it looks like we're getting Kenny Omega versus Orange Cassidy because
that whole thing was to promote as Cassidy.
I'm over his mystique.
Cassidy.
Yeah, I'm kind of tired of him.
I got heat for tweeting out Kenny Omega on the mic does nothing for me.
No, absolutely nothing.
That
segment went way too long.
Way too long.
Let me tweet it out next time. I'll take the heat.
No, I'm fine with getting the heat. I don't care, but it's just like people. Heaven forbid you criticize Kenny Omega on Twitter to wrestling fans. It's like he's not good on the mic.
No, he's not.
He caught himself a couple times where he couldn't remember what he was supposed to say next. You could tell that automatically, and kept repeating it. And it's just like, okay, this should have been a minute promo, and it went on for 5 minutes.
Just like his limo promo, the same way.
This leads to the big thing that I want to talk about, and
just one thing real quick. It's just kind of like what Paul Heyman would say about ECW. Hide the negatives, accentuate the positives, and that's what they need to do with Kenny. Showcase what he can really do, but his limitations. If you can hide that, it'll get him over better.
Yeah, you have Callis there as a mouthpiece for a reason.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that segment led me to what I want to talk about, and we don't have to spend a ton of time on this, but Bully Ray tweeted out, "If I'm management or owners of Impact Wrestling, I'd be fucking fuming that their World Heavyweight Championship was being carried out by knocking nobody and not at least over the shoulder of Omega. Perception is reality."
I saw that. I disagreed with him on that, but
I don't.
I agree.
The first time that the Impact Championship, the Impact World Heavyweight Championship belt is being seen on national cable television, it's being carried by Michael Nakazawa.
It's treated as secondary.
If I'd be more pissed about last week when after the pay-per-view when he came out on television, he didn't have the title on Impact. That's what I'd be more pissed about.
Well, why don't you? And Bully Ray said all you needed to do is you have Omega come out with the AEW Championship around his waist. He comes out through the tunnel. He has the Impact Championship in one hand. He has the AAA Championship in another hand. Holds them above his head. You get your moment. You get your camera shot. And then Nakazawa walks out behind him and he hands him the belts and walks over to Shivani to do the interview.
Did you ever have a problem?
Fix.
Like, did anybody ever have a problem with Sonny Ono carrying the Ultimo Dragons titles? I mean, it's not real different.
Ultimo Dragon had 27 championships, and he has pictures holding them all. Like,
yeah, I mean, he has pictures on, but he didn't wear all of them every week. Sonny Ono would come out holding them. It's really no different.
It's three belts. You come out, you get the shot, and then you hand them off to Nakazawa, and that's it. The TNA championship doesn't even need to be there. It's inconsequential. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't that still count on his record though? Is he still? Are they still? No. Or is it combined?
They're combined. They just have both belts there because
it's the same title. There's no different lineage. Yeah, it's just for.
But again, if we're going back to this relationship and what it does for Impact Wrestling,
nothing.
That does nothing for Impact Wrestling. You don't even have the champion carrying the belt out on national television for the very first time. And there was no doubt. It was.
He should have had it last week too, and he didn't even have it last week. So again, that should have been the time to be really mad about it. That he won the title last week and doesn't come out with it.
Is why
he brought all of it out this week. I didn't have one problem with Nakazawa carrying it. I thought it was actually kind of funny making him be like his boy to carry the belts. I don't think it demolished any of the titles because I think now if he adds another one, it'll just be another one that Nakazawa carries around for him. But
this is why when y'all spoke about it last week, I didn't even say anything. The whole segment, like I didn't agree with this breaking down the opening the door. Regardless, like when you're doing this belt for belt stuff, it's going to get iffy.
Yeah.
If you did like fantasy matches, fantasy booking, just to have a match, great. That's one thing. Don't take people's titles and then treat it as secondary.
Yeah, I didn't like the fact that, like I said, if he would have just came out with the shot, it's a 2-second shot. He walks out, has both titles, one in each hand, and the AEW one around his waist, which he should have around his waist on Dynamite. I'm not asking him to come out with the Impact Championship around his waist, but have the guy that won the belts carry the belts out in front of the world, and then hand them off to Nakazawa.
But again, last week, after he won the belt, should have been the time that he came out to do that.
I don't even remember what he did last week.
He didn't bring out any belts last week on AEW or Impact. That was your time to do it after he won them. Was to showcase him as the champion.
Impact. I'll give them a pass for that because Impact they ran the angle of him. He wasn't even going to show up. He was going to no show. But they hyped the show last week as his championship celebration. And so they came out in the event. They changed it, but they came out and did a run-in and did a beatdown at the end of the show. So him not having the belt last week on Impact was fine in my eyes because there was no reason for him to have the belt. They came out and did a beatdown at the end of the main event.
Last week, that upset me more last week when on AEW and Impact he didn't have the titles. After they just hyped this up that he just became the champion. That upset me more than this week.
All right, like wrestling is, to each his own. It's like Baskin Robbins, flavor for everybody. All right, blood and guts. Let's get into the main event. I thought the star of the match was Sammy Guevara. He was the MVP of the match for me. I don't know if Cash got busted open a hard way. I think he did, but he bled a lot.
Yeah.
But we'll get into the finish. We'll save the finish. Would the match, and this is from Bully Ray on Busted Open again. Would the match for you guys had more meaning if nobody bled except for Jericho and MJF? Would that have made the story? Would that have made the match more? I don't know what the right word is, but would the story of the match been enhanced if Jericho and MJF were the only ones to bleed and they went in, they had their finish like they had their finish at the top of the cage and nobody else got busted open?
No, you say blood and guts. Everybody got to bleed.
And this is a 5-on-5 war. It's not 1 versus 1.
It's that type of match.
It'll seem more scripted if 2 people came out with blood, the 2 main guys.
Yeah. So Sammy started off. Who did he start the match?
Dax. It was him and Dax.
Then Spears.
Spears came in second.
Ortiz.
Cash.
Santana.
So pretty much everybody on.
So to me, if Sammy didn't get busted open at all and he was in the match the longest, that would have been like, and then you bring Jericho and MJF and they get busted open. It's just like, so he's been in here the longest, but no one's really done anything to him to kind of beat him up.
Did you see the pictures he tweeted? That
was ridiculous. Yeah.
Did everybody get busted open, or did?
No, not everybody got busted. No,
I don't think Wardlow did.
Did anybody on Jericho's get busted open?
Hager was bleeding before he even got in the match.
Yeah, he was on the side of his head.
No, that was like a tattoo, like that the guys had. I think it was like an IC.
I just seen Sammy.
I saw red, and I thought he was busted open.
That was a tattoo.
The thing that took away from that for me, honestly, was the commercial breaks.
That was bad. Especially when Wardlow came in. He came in during the picture-in-picture.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to be like, okay, a real big heavy coming in to fight off 3 guys.
Really, he stood there for
a small picture.
Because of the commercial break. I hope at some point they release the match uninterrupted to watch on YouTube or something.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a 45-minute match, you're going to have, 3 or 4 commercial breaks.
And I mean, I expected it. I didn't expect it to run uninterrupted.
I think if you stayed in picture-in-picture the whole time on each commercial break, it would have been fine. But they announced picture-in-picture, and then TNT cut away to straight commercials, and then you come back and the ring's torn up, and it's like, what happened? And you get JR's line about a tornado coming through Daly's place, but Hey, look, again, this goes back to people bitching just to bitch instead of enjoying it. Like, you got it on cable television
for free.
Would it have been better suited as a pay-per-view match?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. But they gave it to you on cable television, something that you haven't seen before. From that standpoint, as far as that type of match on cable, and yeah, the commercial break sucked. Did it take away from it? Yeah. Was there stuff missed? Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, you're getting this for free on cable television. Yeah. Like,
I still enjoyed the match, but
I did too. Like, I wasn't gonna let that sour the experience from the match.
Only thing I didn't like is the cage. They have some shot.
They remind you of IWC because they remind me of IWC.
Yeah, I mean, when thing fell off the side and fell down.
Remember whenever the chain fell at the IWC show and fell like underneath?
I all that up, but I did like the walkway on the side, that space in between.
Yeah, I did too.
I did like that.
I liked the cage. I thought it looked really good.
It did, but it was just too loose for me. Like, I'm not getting thrown into that.
Yeah, I kind of felt like
no kid
or something to the turnbuckle, so it's like it's a little bit harder against there instead of being so loose.
Yeah, that's.
All right, so then let's get into what everybody's talking about, the finish. MJF and Jericho climb out on top of the cage. They battle. Chris slaps on the lion tamer. MJF gets out of it. Did you see the spot for the ball shot?
Mm-hmm.
Did you catch it? So as Jericho has MJF in the lion tamer, he took his hand and he tapped MJF's hamstring.
Like, no, I noticed that.
Yeah, tapped his hamstring and then to let MJF know, like, okay, we're good. Let's move into the spot. And then MJF comes up with the ball shot. So I was like, oh, that's the first time I've seen Jericho give away a tell or a call to a spot in a match.
Which can kind of be, I know some people have argued about AEW's camera angles in the past too, and even on this.
This is what we're getting to. Yeah. The production for this match, a lot for this show, and there's been times on Dynamite too. The production, they need to change up what they do production wise from that standpoint. You shoot the worst angle for the fall that you could possibly do.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. Internet wrestling community. Matt Hardy gets his head banged off of concrete and you're up in arms. They need to be safe. They need to take precautions. How could you do this? You're killing talent. Jericho falls off onto cardboard boxes. They're ruining the business. How could you? He needs to land on concrete. What are you doing? This is ridiculous.
Land on concrete.
Did everybody else see this coming, though? Did everybody
let it fall through
in the first hour and think, "Oh, that's being used in the match"?
You got to fall through it, not onto it. But fall through it.
Okay. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's exactly what I thought. Yeah,
like I knew the spot was coming. You could tell even whenever they were at the top of the cage, they had the cutout on the had the little ledge on the top of the cage for
cutout. Where you can stand at.
Yeah, for the so like you knew somebody was getting thrown off the cage. You just didn't know who, right?
Yeah.
Don't shoot it. Don't shoot the landing. Bully Ray brought this up. I know I'm going to Bully Ray, but his breakdown of this was I thought was spot on. Don't shoot the splat.
Yeah.
He goes, it's rare that WWE shoots the splat. Are there crash pads involved and everything else in WWE? Absolutely, right? Yeah. But the way they shoot it, besides the Shane McMahon one off the top of the cage at Mania, where it was blatantly obvious that it was crash pad.
Yeah.
They don't ever shoot the splat. And there's a reason for that, because it doesn't take away from the spot. Like, you don't put the camera close up on Jericho on the side landing on the impact. Shoot it from the bird's eye view. Shoot it from the back of MJF throwing him off, and then come over the top and show Jericho laying there. Like,
that's exactly the one that I wanted. Is where you see MJF's back and you see him like push Jericho off.
Yeah, don't give me that tight in close of Jericho hitting because then it ruins it. It takes away from it. So the production of the shot is what killed the finish for me. I was happy with the finish. I enjoyed the finish. I like the ending. I like Jericho, or I like MJF threatening to throw Jericho off the cage. Inner Circle are baby faces now, so they're gonna quit. They surrender to save the head of the Inner Circle, their leader. That's a babyface thing to do. Yeah. MJF is heel. That's the heel thing to do, is to throw him off the cage anyways. Makes sense from that standpoint. It was just the way that they shot it that took it away from me.
I didn't like the finish. I didn't like the reason why it finished.
Yeah.
I didn't care for the fall. Like, I didn't like him quitting to stop him from throwing off the cage. Like, if he got thrown off the cage and you can't continue, that's the one that can't continue. There you go. We quit.
And I felt like they took too much time in between.
You quit.
I felt like they dragged out time in that segment because, like, I think because they needed the time more than anything. But just like, okay, it's like Jericho was just up there hanging on basically for too long. Like, it should have just been quit, and then he should kind of just like looked at him and go, well.
Yeah.
So people, Jericho's come out and said that this blood and guts match, it's not the blow off. It's the start of the feud between the Pinnacle and Inner Circle.
Oh, you can definitely tell from that.
So again, goes into the finish. Like, if this was the blow off and you got that type of finish with that landing and everything else, I can see people being up in arms. But it's not the blow off to the feud. The feud's just getting started.
It just started like a month ago.
So like,
shouldn't this match been the blow off? I mean, I think for a blood and guts match, a War Games style match, this should be the ending, not the beginning.
Yeah.
What do you end it with now?
What do you do to top it? Yeah.
But you don't know where you don't know where you go, and I don't necessarily need all 10 people involved in the blow-off match to get the blow-off to the feud.
You know what's coming? The Inner Pinnacle.
You and these porn references today, guys.
It's not even a porn.
That's kind of where my mind went first.
Yeah, like that. That's a title to a VHS tape.
It's a VHS.
Yeah, that's not even a DVD release. That's a VHS tape that you find underneath your dad's side of the bed when you were 12 and didn't know what it was, and you put on Inner Pinnacle. You're shocked as an 8-year-old kid. Like, come on. The production is what killed it for me. Like I said, the match itself was great. I enjoyed the match. I thought they went out there, busted their ass. They had some really cool spots in it. Spears with him and Guevara tightrope in between both rings, and then going into the Spanish Fly was an awesome spot.
Samuel killed himself on the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought for sure he was going to walk away with a concussion after that.
Yeah. So I mean,
overall, it's a thumbs up from me.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm not nowhere near as hard of a crap on it as what people did.
It's not going in my favorite like top 5, top 10 matches of all time or anything, but I mean, like I said, if I can watch it uninterrupted one time, I think I'll like it better.
Yeah, straight through, no commercials, straight through. I think you'll like it even more than what you did on Wednesday night.
I agree.
So
hopefully they do that at some point.
Yeah. We're 2 hours into this. Quick hitters. I think Jordan Grace re-signed with Impact. We already covered Selena leaving MLW. MLW announced obviously July 10th they're coming back to Philadelphia with fans. They also announced September 11th in Dallas there will be fans, and then November 6th, I believe, in Chicago they will have fans.
Okay.
So that's that. AEW announced there'll be full capacity for Double or Nothing.
5,000 fans for that.
5,000 fans for that at Daily. So that'll be full crowd back for that. WWE still trying to get a spot for SummerSlam. They want fans. Location has yet to be determined, but that was rumored this week to be the kickoff to them starting touring again and going around live. So don't know what type of schedule that will be like or where they'll be at. Even if that sticks, depends on how COVID is and vaccination rates and everything else. But that's the plans right now for the works.
The rumor I heard this week was possibly Vegas. We'll see if that sticks at all as it gets closer, but that'd be interesting.
Yeah. We'll see. Vegas is really hard to do. The wrestlers come out and say Vegas is really tough to sell out and get people for. I know AEW sold out Double or Nothing in Vegas with 10,000 plus. But other than WrestleMania 9, I don't believe WWE has gone back to Vegas for a big show.
No, they were talking about doing it. That's one of the ones that's in the works for Mania with the new stadium there. But I don't know if they would go to T-Mobile for SummerSlam or if they would go to the football stadium since it's outdoors. But
yeah, so Daniel Bryan is contract expired. He has been moved over to the alumni section on the website of the WWE. So as of right now, everything indicates that Daniel Bryan is a free agent, and we will see what happens there.
A lot of the rumors this week seem that he's telling people he's sticking around, but no deal's been done yet.
Yeah, we'll see. So I don't think I had anything else bell-wise.
We talked about documentaries earlier this week. Darren Young came out saying that he showed a picture that he started taping WWE Untold for a Nexus documentary.
Okay.
So that could be good.
Yeah.
IW Friday, July 9th at the Ross Traver Ice Garden in Bell Vernon here in PA. So the tickets go on sale May 17th for that. So yeah, that's all I had, I believe.
Since we ended on production, who is SmackDown's production guy? Because during that 10-man tag, the camera cuts.
The camera cuts, period, are
Kevin Dunn's the main guy.
Dunn does that. It's fucking horrible.
That one I had to make the match background noises. They were like two people standing side by side taking the same shot, and they were cutting between each one.
The end segment with him and Cesaro too, where the camera kept going back and forth there, that was way too much too.
We need
yeah.
You guys ready to drink?
Episode, well, both shows come together. Find a mutual.
All right, let's do a drink of the week.
Chug, 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 chug.
This week's Drink of the Week segment is brought to you by the beer sampling event that I went to last week at my cousin's house.
How was it?
It was excellent. I think we had about 12 to 15 different beers to sample and run through.
All stouts?
No, there was a bunch of stuff. There was ciders, there was stouts, there was IPAs, there was wheat beers. There was like everybody. People did a good job at grabbing different selections. And then at the end, you got to go through and pick a 6-pack of stuff that you liked. So there was definitely good stuff there. So that was an enjoyable time. I was looking forward to doing that event with him next year as well. This week we'll cover the Saugatuck Brewing Company Neapolitan Milk Stout. This is the same company that makes the blueberry maple stout that we absolutely loved. We reviewed it. So this is the same company here. It is 6% alcohol by volume. Let's see. We did the Hitchhiker Neapolitan. The reason why I picked this was to see what the differences would be, considering this is a milk stout and that. So
I remember the strawberry in the Hitchhiker one was kind of the main note of that drink.
Yeah. Somehow I spilled stout on my space heater. So that shit just smells every night.
What
I'm thinking it's the trash can I threw it in. No,
do you know which one you spilled on it?
could have been all of them. I don't. This.
That's where you use bleach to clean it off.
All right, let's get into this. Ooh, I like the smell.
Tastes good to have the stout again.
Not as harsh as the rest, to me.
I agree. It is very subtle.
I mean, I'm picking up the flavors. They're there. They're subtle.
3 bites in every sip.
I like this. I like this a lot. I don't like this as much as the maple, the blueberry maple one that we did.
I agree.
From them. But I would buy this and drink this for sure. It's a little heavy. Again, it's a stout, so it's not going to be like drinking Blue Moon or anything. But I would buy a 6 or 12 pack of this and enjoy a couple. Flavors are there; they're not overpowering. This is good for me. I enjoyed this. That's the first time I think I've ever seen Jason finish a beer during Drink of the Week segment. So either he really liked it or he just drank it just to drink it.
No. I finished them all on Drink of the Week. Trust me, they don't last. They do not last.
I'm really not picking up any of the Neapolitan flavors in this. Like it's very subtle. I really don't know. Like I think it's a very good stout. It's very creamy, which I really like about it. Like as I'm drinking, I can kind of get the milk stout out of it, instead of just typical stout. Yeah, so it's a more above average stout. I think it's very good, but the Neapolitan I'm just not getting.
I'm getting the chocolate and the strawberry, the vanilla not so much, but I'm picking them up.
I'm really trying to get it on the palate to see if anything will pick up. And I'm really
all right. Well, your taste buds are searching. Let's go around the horn here. 1 to 5 sumo scale. What do you guys got, Donald? What do you got?
Again, I'm not a stout person. I do taste the chocolate and the strawberry, but it's a dark beer. I'll give it a 2. I'm not a fan of it.
Jay,
I'm smelling a hint of something, but I'm not with the taste. It gets better than the breakfast, so I'm gonna give it a 2.
All right, I'm gonna go with a 3.75 for me. One of the better stouts that we've had. Again, I don't know if this is the first milk stout we've done, but I'm enjoying that and would look into tasting other milk stouts.
We have one coming up. I know that.
Well, smoother.
No.
Yeah, the flavors are there. They're subtle. It's not overpowering, so you're not getting full frontal. Going back to Jason's, but they're there. So yeah, I'll go 3.75.
I like it. It's a very good stout. I mean, I agree. I think I like like I said, it's creamy with the milk stout. It's good flavor in there. The Neapolitan just isn't there for me anyway. A little bit in the smell, but nothing on the taste. I'm gonna go with 3.25.
All right. Well, that's it for this week's Saugatuck Brewing Company Neapolitan Milk Stout. If you're out and about, pick this one up. Hit us up on social medias and let us know what you think for this week's Drink of the Week. And with that, we ask that you raise your cups, glasses, bottles, cans, brown paper bags, solo cups, and anything in between, whatever you're drinking out of, to good ships and wood ships and ships that sail the seas. The best ships are friendships, and friends will always be. This week in sports, where do we want to begin?
Villanueva talking shit.
Yeah, I guess we can start there. Locally, Pittsburgh Steelers-wise, the Benedict Arnold of Benedict Arnold. You don't leave the Steelers and go to the Ravens. You can sign with any other team in the NFL, but you don't leave the Steelers and go to the Ravens. And I believe Ravens fans would say the same thing. You don't leave the Ravens and sign with the Steelers. Alejandro Villanueva signed with the Ravens, 1 year deal, I believe, $8 million, right? To be there.
It's all about the money.
Yeah. So
everybody's signing on 1 year deals because of the salary cap. So
came out and had some very not so good things to say about quote unquote former Steelers. Sounded like he took some shots at Juju and TikToking and everything else. But
he was in the end zone dances though.
He was in the video. He was in one of the videos.
Yeah. So there's that. We'll see. Hey, you get to see him twice a year, so we'll see how he does blocking TJ Watt on the right side.
And we know he can't block. So
is he switching sides?
Yeah, apparently he's going to be moving over to right tackle.
Because every time you
play your whole career and then just switch and be.
Oh, it's because every time you see him block, you fly through the screen. So, glad he's gone.
Yeah.
It was another story like Connor.
As far as draft fallout goes, Mel Kiper graded the Steelers as the lowest draft grade of all the 32 teams in the NFL, based off of what the Steelers did in the draft. I take it as what it is.
Until you see him on the field, everything is the same.
If that punter can hit like Sepulveda, we're good.
Hey, listen, anytime you get a 5'10", 260-pound punter, I'm going to be in love. Because that's, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we'll see draft grade wise. It is what it is. That obviously the big discussion this week carried over from the draft was Aaron Rodgers and see what's going on there with him in Green Bay. That seems like a marriage that's going to end in an ugly divorce. Whether or not Rodgers is out this year, I don't know. Next year, I believe they can let him go next year because of cap reasons and that. So it won't cost them too much next year. But yeah, that doesn't seem to be working out too well for them.
Yeah.
I don't really have too much wise NFL besides that. There was some stuff that went out with one of the Broncos players getting hurt at a private workout facility, and NFL issuing a statement to teams letting them know that it does not count as a football injury. It's in the contracts. So whether or not Denver decides to pay him his money, I don't know, but so I don't know what incentive that gives to players to want to train in the offseason by themselves. If they were to get injured, they're not going to be covered for it in their injury clause. So
they said the waters are mucky. NFLPA filed a grievance on his behalf and said that the workouts he was doing were approved by the Broncos, and since they can't go to the facilities because of COVID and that stuff,
it should count.
It should count.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, more to come on that. That'll work itself out in the future. There's that. Other news: the NHL is a fucking shit show.
Wow, boy!
Tom Wilson needs kicked out of the league.
Yes.
What he did, there's no need for it. He's a multiple-time offender. And, for him to do what he did, and he only got fined $5,000, which is less than a NFL sock violation for a uniform violation, makes no sense. I know the NHL, they let the players settle it out on the ice and police themselves, but yet you've had this big long campaign for how many years now where you've gotten fighting out of the game. Mm-hmm. And player safety and everything else, and you only fine the guy $5,000. It did lead to some fantastic television because the Capitals Rangers game was, you had I think it was like You had 100 penalty minutes in fights in the first period.
Yeah.
At what point the penalty box had 5 players from each team sitting in the penalty box?
They wasn't socially distancing.
It's just, the optics, crazy. Yeah, the optics of it was just bad all the way around. And that shouldn't be the case because you're going into what would be playoff season with the regular season wrapping up. You want to be able to go in on a high note and have people talking about that, and instead of talking about I think O'Shea scored a hat trick in that game. You got Marc-Andre Fleury moving up the wins list. He's number 3 now all time. You have all these positive things going on around the league, and you're talking about this stuff right before your playoff push. Just doesn't make any sense.
No press is bad press. I mean,
until we're on test treatment, I'm not a fan of fighting hockey.
And then they fined the team $250,000 for talking bad about
for their statement. You can find the team $250K. It's like, come on, what are we doing? It's ass backwards here.
That's why the one guy from the Rangers, when he cross-checked Wilson in his throat, he was like, "I don't care if I get fined. I'm only getting fined $5,000."
Yeah,
and that's whatever you do. Is that if they don't give a shit about it, you do more.
Yeah, yes, you do.
Exception.
And then that's when it gets out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eddie Olczyk signed on to be the NHL's top game analyst next season with Turner Sports. So, given the new package deal, that's a good signing for Edzo. That'll be good to hear him calling games there.
Penn's last regular season game is this afternoon at 3. So maybe next week we can kind of because I think they have over a week off. That's not good. No,
it's not good. And they're hot.
Schedule some scrimmages, do something. I don't know, but you can't have this team playing as well as they are to sit around for a week. It's going to completely kill any type of momentum that they have.
Yeah. I'm already questioning how good they're going to be in the playoffs,
and that's strictly based on goaltending that they've had lately, which has been the shits. So
maybe next week we can kind of go into the playoffs a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll definitely break that down next week. Jake Paul, Logan Paul, and Floyd Mayweather just put on the biggest work of all time at their press deal. The whole, I got your hat. Looky, I got your hat. Listen, Floyd Mayweather's security team is not letting you snatch his hat off his head. Okay. They could be the top. They could be the top offensive line in the NFL if they wanted to be. Like you're not going to let him snatch a hat off Floyd's head. And Logan Paul cried out, "Oh, it's personal now. It's personal now." Floyd Mayweather, Sean, I'm going to kill you.
Because if it was real, you just signed your death warrant.
I'm not paying money to watch this at all. I could care less about it. I think it's a disgrace. I think it's strictly a money grab.
On all sides.
Conor McGregor came out and reached out to Floyd's PR person and like, what's he doing? Like, he's involved with these two schmucks. Like, if you're not going to fight for against a legitimate person against your record, don't fight. Like, sit down. Like, what are you doing? I'm over the
Logan Paul's gonna conquer every sport.
Jake has more of a. Jake's fought longer than Logan has, so I don't know how this is going to work out well. But unless they do like a Rocky 3 storyline where Floyd beats up Logan and then Jake comes in like Balboa to challenge Mayweather at the end of the fight, and that's where we're going with this. But
I'll stick with the movie.
You gonna turn them faces?
Completely against it, and if you're a fan that's going to pay money to go sit in the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami on June 6th.
There's people.
You need help. I'm not sitting outside in Florida in the middle of June to watch Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul. Not going to happen.
Did Ocho Cinco officially sign on?
I don't know. Who cares? I do. It's ridiculous. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. It's just I had to bring it up. But
it's Mayweather, so people are going to spend the money. And
they are.
Watch it outside, and they're going to pay it on pay-per-view.
You're going to want to see Logan Paul get knocked the hell out.
Terrible. Terrible.
Yes, it
terrible.
is.
A stunner wasn't good enough.
Terrible.
You want the full.
Terrible.
You want the full TKO.
Terrible.
You guys watch the PFL on ESPN at all?
No, I missed it. I heard there were some good fights on the other night.
There was,
yeah. So no, I forgot they were on.
Yeah, it was on actually for the first time this season. They were on main ESPN channel. So they put on some decent fights. I like their fights a little bit better because these guys actually want to go out and actually win the fight in the first round.
Okay.
You know, and it's just, I mean, some of them do go the distance. You know, it's still MMA, but you know, they're not going around and dancing around the cage. Like
Gotcha.
a lot of fights in UFC.
Yeah.
This week, the controversy this week in the main event was Fabricio Werdum versus Renan Ferrara, and in the first round, Fabricio had him in like a headlock, and it looked like Ferrara kind of tapped him on the shoulder. Wasn't a tap out, but he tapped him on the shoulder twice. And Fabricio says it was, in my mind, the fight was over.
Yeah, that's a tap.
He goes, so I let loose. The ref didn't call anything, so that's where he messed up.
Yeah,
you know, he let go, and Ferrara beat him, like kept giving him some shots to the head, and that's where he messed up because he didn't wait for the ref to call him. That's the way it's supposed to be. But yeah, he was basically saying, that's how I train and everything. So there's a little bit of controversy there. I looked it up. It didn't look like the PFL has come out and said anything, like if they're going to change the ranking or anything like that for this fight. But
you'll have them fight again.
Well, the way that they do their stuff is it's a tournament.
Okay.
So it's a fighting tournament. So it's like you go almost have like right now they're fighting for the playoffs. There's 6 events then you go into the playoffs, I think 3 weeks, and then you have a championship.
Okay.
So it's not long. So they just had, this is their 3rd event. They had 2 in April, this one in May. There's 1 in, I think maybe 2 in June, and the championships in July.
Okay.
So it's not bad. I mean, it's something on ESPN. You know, ESPN keeps putting more and more MMA content out between them and the UFC, but you know, I think there's some decent fights on there.
I don't really have too much other in sports. Oh, NBA wise, LeBron came back and then went on again. The Lakers are close to that play-in tournament scenario to get in. So we'll see what happens with them there. It'll be a shame if they miss the playoffs due to injuries from him and AD, but that's they like that. Russell Westbrook again, triple-double this week. What do you have? 24 rebounds and 21 assists in a game this week. Like it's insane.
Damn.
Yeah.
I don't even follow the association, and I know that's a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, I mean it is what it is. Basketball playoffs are getting ramped up. NHL playoffs are getting ramped up. Baseball, you know, is where they're at right now.
So what's the new pitching controversy this week with the Orioles guy?
I didn't see
for his no hitter.
Yeah,
it was the guy, the only runner who made it to the base. He swung at the 3rd pitch and it bounced in the ground like a wild pitch, so he got the first base on that on 3rd strike wild pitch. So they were saying, should that be a perfect game because you know he legitimately didn't make the base, but he made the base. That's a rule. So
yeah,
it's no perfect game. There's no hitter, but it's no perfect game. Yeah, so that's what the controversy was about. Okay. But there was another no-hitter yesterday by a Cincinnati Reds guy. I forgot his name. And that makes the 4th no-hitter of the season already.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, already.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah,
use out the ball.
The first time in Major League Baseball history that there were 4 no-hitters before
the end of May.
Before the end of May, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's swinging for the fences.
That's what it is. It's either home run or strike out. That's all what it is now. Yeah. That is all what it is.
It's been that way for too long.
The days of Tony Gwynn and Ichiro and that when you're getting, you know, 350 hitters, and I mean, Craig, Tony Gwynn, I think in his career he struck out, you know, 20 sometimes or whatever, and it's like these dudes are passing that mark in the first month of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But how many of the current players grew up in the era of the McGuire Sosa home run chase? You know, so that's what they want to do.
Yeah.
Fire all their hitting coaches.
I don't know. It is what it is there. I don't have nothing else for sports this week.
Since you brought up Tony Gwynn, I couldn't find a stat, but when he went up against John Smokes, Tom Glavine, and Greg Maddux, he had 390 plate appearances and only struck out 3 times against them.
Yeah. You're talking 3 of the greatest pitchers of all time.
Yeah, unbelievable.
I can do that. I'm gonna start a show called Jason Does.
But this guy gets over on other podcasts now. He's promoting shows by himself.
You see that?
Sounds like once we can start going out and doing stuff, that's what one of the new segments will be.
Unbelievable.
Anything else in sports?
I'm good.
I don't
Jump into. Go ahead. Announce it, Chris.
All right.
Steve.
The world renowned, world famous, worldwide sensation where I'm the best and Donald's the worst. One got to go.
Man, the hate is real for this segment.
Cold-blooded.
All right. Jason, are you the one that made this one this week?
I did.
This is so this all right.
I get what you were saying, but
to our national audience and our
won't get it. Yeah,
India and Australia and UK, France,
around the country.
guys for supporting the show and everything else. This one gotta go segment is not gonna matter to you guys. Obviously, this is strictly a local Pittsburgh tie-in, and the list itself, I don't even get the point of the list.
There's one you got to cut and you can't have forever.
Well, like
it's not comparable. You just got to give up one for forever.
Somebody else can go first because this is like
Jason made it. Let him start off.
Yeah,
I'll go first. You know where I'm going. Turner's Tea got to go. Turner's Tea is trash.
Oh my god! You're out of your mind.
Look here.
Wow, man.
I love Heinz ketchup. Can't go without it. Triangle. I'm back in the game. I used to hate it as a kid. Can't go without it. Kennywood's fries, the OG, and where they're at now. Not that stuff they did a few years ago. Can't go without it. Turner's Tea, gone.
Oh man.
I do this thing where I plant little. I ask people like, "What's your favorite Turner's Tea?" You know what they say? They're like, "Let me get wild berry. Let me get a lime. Let me get
wild berry."
Nobody ever says regular Turner's Tea. You want to know why? Because it's trash.
You're absolutely.
Hey, what's your favorite tea? What's your favorite tea, Steve? What's your favorite flavor?
Turner's Tea. Turner's Tea.
Nah.
Turner's Tea. It's not
nobody.
Schneider's.
I asked that question. Nobody ever said regular Turner's Tea.
It's not Schneider's. It's not Malburger. It's not.
Swiss is better than Turner's.
You're
come on. Are you serious?
Shut him off.
Are you
Shut him
serious?
off.
Let me get that Swiss raspberry.
You're crazy.
Oh,
you are absolutely
Swiss
out
is
of
better
your
than
mind.
Turner's? Really? Oh
no.
And I know I'm be the lone wolf on this one. Go ahead. Take y'all shots.
I'll go next. Kennywood fries got to go because I can find the same exact fries somewhere else.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can. I can go to another state and find the same exact thing. The O's had fries like that, so that got to go.
What?
Those Permanis.
Kennywood fries. And when I go out to Kennywood, too, I can find different stuff than the long potato patch line. There's other stuff I eat out there except that. Kennywood fries. Got to go. The other three you can't live without.
Growing up, Kennywood potato patch were my favorite thing. I look forward to every year going to Kennywood for them. Whenever I start going back a few years ago, they are not the same. They are way too overpriced for what they are too. They are not. I can get the same fries at Five Guys and get the same fries.
Oh, shut your mouth.
I mean, I see that triangle going up too every week. That triangle done bumped up to above 20.
Yeah, but you didn't get rid of that, though.
Like, no, potato patch fries can go. I can live without those now.
Yes, you can.
Everything, in a way, too, I think I could live without Triangle, but I could definitely live without Kennywood.
Plus, you have that barbecue place that's out there at Kennywood now. That is amazing.
Yeah, but you can get that outside of Kennywood, too.
Yeah, you can. I'm just talking about stuff inside Kennywood that you can. Yeah. You're next, Steve.
I'm not getting rid of Turner's, that's for sure.
No.
I'm not getting rid of Heinz because that's the greatest ketchup ever.
The ultimate staple.
I guess if it had to come down between Triangle and potato patch fries, I'll get rid of the potato patch fries. Just because I haven't been to Kennywood in like 6 years. So like, you know, growing up every year when we went to Kennywood for school picnics, like that was, you know, potato patch fries for sure all day. That and funnel cake, it was non-question. That's what you were eating. And the potato patch that's by the Thunderbolt, not the one that's in Lost Kennywood.
That was trash. The main stop. Yeah.
I get 3 different fries in one spot.
Yeah, the main place. But yeah, this one will have to be potato patch fries.
See, I couldn't find a fourth staple. Like if I'd have put pierogies would have been off the list.
You could have taken Triangle off and put Permanis too.
Triangle off Permanis?
Permanis would be more of a Pittsburgh thing than Triangle to me. I know Triangle. I might have picked that. Triangle's more local to us, although you know I know Triangle is big. Hell, I worked there all throughout high school, and then like them lines would be out the door. Like I know Triangle's big. Shout out Tom Crombie and everybody there. So yeah, but I'd have to get potato patch fries off the list. That's it for me. That's the one that got to go.
So we heard it here first. Turner's is trash.
You're crazy.
No, Turner's not trash.
Absolutely crazy.
That means next time we get together, you can't have black and gold. Just
Steve, or not, keep on beating Triangle.
I don't know what's wrong with you.
Speaking of local stuff, Pittsburgh owned. Before we wrap up, well, no, I'll save this to my final thought.
All right. All right, kids. Thanks for tuning into episode 36 of the Dumb Marks podcast. Remember that we are live every Saturday at 11 a.m. on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So please subscribe, like, and follow our social media pages at Dumb Marks Pod. You can message us during the shows while you watch live or email us at dumbmarkspod@gmail.com. Our audio-only edition of the podcast is released every Monday to listen on demand on all your favorite podcast platforms. And if you haven't heard yet, our official Dumb Marks merch is now available to purchase on Pro Wrestling Tees. You can visit prowrestlingtees.com/dumbmarkspod.
Did you read all those off of cue cards like Rhea Ripley does?
I did.
I have 3 things. I didn't do gaming in the beginning because of the story time with me. Sony's charging developers for crossplay. So if you want Xbox people and Nintendo people to play with Sony people, Sony's charging the developers. And Microsoft approached Sony to put Game Pass on the PlayStation, and they said it was the quickest meeting PlayStation ever had. And then also Invicta got the license to South Park, so they're going to be making South Park theme Invicta watches now.
Come on now.
I love Invicta watches. I'm a watch collector, and Invicta. I own a ton of those.
I can't reach.
So yeah, Their Marvel and their DC series watches are good. The Punisher one's really good. The Joker one that they just did more recently was really good. Be interested to see what they do with South Park stuff.
Yeah,
I might have to get a Cartman watch. I might have to. with that. Final thought for me this week, and again, this is, people around listening are going to understand, but locally here, for people that grew up in our neighborhoods that are familiar with it, Collingwood Park in Swissvale will now be renamed Darren Poindexter. The Darren Dex Poindexter basketball court. He passed away recently. If you know of him from Swissvale, he was a Swissvale legend, a Collingwood hoops legend. That basketball games there growing up, and this is gonna sound, but especially for a white kid going down the street to play down Collingwood, you had to be on your A game to get on the court there, because you definitely got ran off fast if that wasn't the case. It was our Rucker Park growing up, living in Swissvale, growing up in Swissvale, and going down to that court to watch, and some of the biggest and best players around would come down to that park growing up playing. So shout out to him. Congratulations to him. I think that's very fitting to rename the court after him. And that was all, collaboration was brought forth by Tom Crombie, who owns the Triangle, and a bunch of other people, Councilwoman Michelle Stanton. So congratulations, kudos to him, and fitting of the man himself.
And when you got done with that, you go right to Triangle around the corner.
Go right to Triangle around the corner. Yes, sir. Anybody else got anything for their final thought?
My final thought is anybody else's Instagram acting up? Because I can't double.
Yeah. All week long, and I didn't know if maybe you had something to do with like hacking the secret.
Hey, or I wouldn't mess up the best platform in the world.
Instagram this week for me has been shoddy at best throughout the week.
Okay.
Facebook was a little iffy for me lately.
Facebook's been iffy for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's something on their end for sure. I'm ready to get rid of both platforms though.
Not I. Still works.
Anything else?
Anybody got else?
Nope.
No. Okay. With that, tomorrow is Mother's Day. Tomorrow is Mother's Day. Shout out to all the moms everywhere around the world.
Putting my mother to work. Sorry.
Yeah. So with that being said, instead of a inspirational quote, with it being Mother's Day, I just want to say thank you, Mom, for the blessings and memories we share. You're a blessing to me and to our family. Appreciate everything you've done for me growing up. Shout out to my wife. Happy Mother's Day to you for everything that you do for our children. They're really lucky to have you. Shout out to my mother-in-law for being my mother-in-law. As crazy as she is, I love her. And again, shout out and congratulations to everybody on Mother's Day. Fathers will get our due come June. So, but yeah, tomorrow go out.
You gotta do your own shout out though.
Yeah, if you haven't gotten a card, go get one. Do something special.
Mom, sister-in-law. What he said.
It don't take much, but show the appreciation to all the moms out there. In that. Like I said, especially mine, with my dad passing away as young as I was, she took the place as mom and dad. Not that she was trying to, but there were plenty of times where, it was me going and talking to her about stuff, or she'd pick up a baseball glove or something and go out in the back. I appreciate all that stuff growing up, and as well as to all the other moms out there. Kudos to everybody. Thanks for tuning in this week. I know it was a longer episode. We appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Love yous in India, UK, Australia, France. Thanks for tuning in. Here in the US, we love you guys. As always, you're a Mark. I'm a Mark. Tell a Mark. And until next time, y'all can catch us around the way.
Thanks, India.